pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch
in the future to come. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, in terms of recording, like I said, your practicing measurable. These are some of the things you need to consider. So in digital footprints, we can talk about satellite imagery. Show that maybe if you're a smallholder farmer, you employ crop rotation or monocropping, or you included different crops as well in your business or your farm. You can show that with satellite imagery. Over the years, I think we have access to those things that are free. You can access those satellite images of that area or community and show that, okay, before this is what the place looked like, this is what the place is looking like now. And you can also track your water usage to show that you're actually conserving, water. And then verify your supply chain from, the farm to transport to the process to end user point. You have to make sure that you are keeping data, keeping records of those systems to stay on top of it, to be able to show it. Because people, it's not just that, oh, I do this, but at the end of the day, you need to show proof. That is the most important thing. Can people tell what you are doing? Can they see what is it tangible? Are they seeing it around them? Have they heard of it? If they replicate it, does it make sense? Does it work for them? Show proof. That is the most important thing. And also, this is very important. I know we are a Ghanaian community. I don't know where everybody's from, but even in Africa, we are a very high trust society, and peer validation is like one of the most important things. So, before I bring my presentation to an end, one thing I want you to consider is, it's a journey. Building a green brand is a journey because honestly, the label green or the tag green has grown over the years. It has changed, consistently changed because our end keeps growing and a lot of things keep changing, and we keep adapting and reworking things to try and make life on Earth much more worth living and a maximum place to be. So you always have to keep it in your head that, okay, I'm doing this. Someone else is doing something else. Don't say, oh, but you've gone far. When will I reach there? No, it's a journey. You can keep reiterating things that you're already doing. Keep changing things. Keep finding new ways to lower your input cost, to lower your carbon footprint. Keep doing those things because at the end of the day, it's not just even if you have the green bar, I don't think you're just going to stop and labor. Things will change. You always find ways to improve on the processes. And for the most impactful brands in Ghana, that one thing that they always do is they consistently reiterate their things, they reiterate their practices, their processes, they constantly change, they constantly research better ways to do whatever it is they were doing currently. Then share your impacts, transparency about your challenge. Share your practices, your challenges. If it's impacting, if it's not, and you're suffering somewhere, share it. You have a community. If you build a community, like I said before, you have people who probably advise you or give you tips. Okay, this thing you're doing, I tried it before anyway. This is what I'm doing now, and it's working. And you share it with you. That is how to consistently build your green brand. And always keep this in mind, that you are doing it not just for yourself, you are doing it for the planet, you are doing it for people. And most importantly, because it's a business, you are doing it for profit. So thank you very much. I've almost brought my presentation to an end, but before I close, my company, I'm a representative of Blue Global. We are running a raffle for agribusinesses to launch a green brand, a free website for anyone. All you need to do is visit this link, take the test. It's a 2-minute test. Then you follow our official page on LinkedIn. Then you share the screenshot of your test with me at my email. Before the end of the day, I'll announce the winner of this draw. Thank you very much, Dennis Swanson. I hope you have a great time.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Dennis. Please let's give it up for you. All right, so I think we've spoken a lot about climate smart and thrown a lot of terms and jargons that people sound like I'm overwhelmed. What does all of this mean? So I just want to give you the breakdown so that if you are not really in that space, because I know you have different people from different walks of life here who may not necessarily be abreast of some of the terms they refer to. So we just want to do a breakdown briefly so that we understand all of these things we're talking about and how we can now apply for the funding and scale all of these things. So within about 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to talk about climate smart innovators in agriculture. I love this topic so much because it's like the new thing, right? Yeah, so I think you are so quiet and it's making me like, why am I saying something? So let me just throw in a quick question and then let's revive ourselves. So when we hear about climate smart agriculture, please, I just want to know what comes to your mind. I know we are all like young people here, some of our games, so just something before we go into this. Although you are not, then I think you like to say something. Yeah.
So I think it's more regenerative farming, which is regenerative farming, which is also part of climate smart, and also some kind of practices. Yeah, on the innovation, if you want to take that comes.
Wow. That for you. I knew that you want to say something. I knew you want to say something.
The first thing that comes to my mind is practices that reduce the carbon footprint. Yes, in the atmosphere. That helps with our climate.
That's awesome. Let's give it up for them. So it's everybody here. Told you have an answer this morning.
Yeah, I think there are practices.
I love the voice. Let me say this.
Thank you. There are practices in the agricultural space that help us to adapt to the climate. How still
That's wonderful. Okay, let's give it up for you. So practically, we are all in the neighborhood. Actually, when we say climate smart agriculture, we are in that neighborhood. So I'm going currently we are looking at, no, it's not too far. We are looking at, too far. We are looking at a very, no, that's not it. Keep going. So the next slide, yes, there we go. We are looking at a three-headed beast. That's why I had to think about it. There's a beast with three heads, and we are trying to, control this Godzilla in the agricultural space. So one of the heads, we are looking at the environmental impact, because for a long time, people never looked at agriculture as a major contributor to climate change and all that. We thought agriculture was the solution, but we realized, cattle and sheep, goats are releasing lots of ammonia, and that's a GHG greenhouse gas, and deforestation. So now we are realizing that agriculture actually contributes to climate change in a way. And so how do we tackle this environmental impact? Then again, we have the issue of rising global population. And we are estimating that by 2050, we are hitting about 9.7 billion people on this earth, and they are all going to have to eat. And so how do we tackle the environmental footprint of agriculture without compromising the feeding needs of all of these people that are going to be born by 2050, plus those that are already existing? And then we have the other side, that is the climate threat. So while we are trying to solve these issues, while we are trying to solve this issue, we are also being threatened by climate change and its impact, right? So, and it's very funny, climate change, you have places having like intense droughts, then on this other side of town, like there's a flood. I'm like, can't you just spread some of the water and bring it to this side? But it doesn't work that way. You have too much sunshine somewhere, too much humidity, drying. It's so funny when you look at climate. You can have like totally opposite conditions in two different parts of the world, and you feel like if only we could just balance it out, and there is a way. That is why we are looking at climate smart agriculture. Next slide. These are my next slide. Yes. So what is the way forward? We need to find a solution that ensures food security, increases profitability, because the environmentalists are so big about profit, but to the average Ghanaian farmer, and yesterday I was talking to a farmer around midnight, talking about money. I think I will share some of that in we have a panel discussion coming. I'll share some of that. And what's funny, I was like asking about funds. I was like, what? I'm not receiving any funds. It's just my personal money. So the farmer is thinking of his money. They are not really concerned so much about the climate footprint and the carbon footprint. He is thinking of his money. But then at the end of the day, we are at the other side and we see the effects of what they do. And so we are trying to bring it together where we are ensuring food security without compromising the environment, neither compromising their profit. And that is where climate smart agriculture comes in. So basically, as I'm a deep voiced man with it, I think you should do a voiceover for maybe an FM station. They will really be happy. Yeah, as you said, when we look at climate smart agriculture, CSA, we are looking at increasing productivity, building resilience, and also reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and of course, land degradation. And in Ghana, when we say land degradation, you need not look too far. Just look around you and see what the Ghana guys are doing, and you understand what land degradation is. But climate smart agriculture is looking at tackling all these challenges at once. So it's like a stone that kills three birds. Yeah, let's move on. So what are the key components? We're looking at precision farming. And this has been like the new topical thing across the agricultural space. Everybody's talking precision farming. There wasn't a thing before, but now it's the new thing. Agroforestry, climate smart resilient crops, and then of course sustainable soil management. So when we look at precision farming, we're looking at the use of practically IoT sensors, IoT Internet of Things, GPS, GIS to map out our farms, and I've broken it down into just a few things so that we can quickly follow. So we have different types of sensors. And when we say sensors, to some people, oh, this is in Europe, oh, this is in the USA. Well, it's happening in Africa now. There are farms in Africa, greenhouses that are employing these technology to do great things. In fact, we've been using them even in Ghana, but on a limited scale. For example, when you go to the greenhouses, most of the practices they are already automated. So in a way, we've been on that side, but it's time to expand and grow beyond that. Let's say, so that, no, back. Thank you. So we have soil sensors that can literally track your pH, soil moisture, nutrients, and give you ability to monitor what is happening with your soil. It's so annoying when you have to see farmers having to do guesswork. And as we are looking at CSA, we are looking at increasing productivity, building resilience, and also what? Reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Those are the three main things we are trying to achieve with all of these. So let's look at how these things help to achieve all three. For example, if I'm using soil sensors, I don't need to guess which fertilizer to apply. I don't need to guess what to apply, what to do. By using the sensors, I'm going to get accurate information. If I'm using environmental sensors, I don't need to guess what the temperature will be tomorrow. I don't need to guess what the humidity level will be tomorrow. The sensor can give me that information. So I have accurate or about 99% accurate information, and that eliminates guesswork. When we come to the weather stations, they'll give you the right information about what's coming next. Is there a storm coming? Do I need to put a jacket on my crops because there might be a thunderstorm? And it's interesting. You go to Japan, they are plagued by typhoons all the time, and yet there's agriculture, and they are able to feed themselves and feed other countries. If certain countries in Africa were plagued by that level of typhoons, they would be on CNN, they would be on BBC, that they lost all their food, and there was a typhoon, and because we are not, to a larger extent, making good use of these tools. But they see the typhoon coming, they send emails, they send warnings, farmers get these miniature greenhouses, protect their crops. Even in winter, the crops are protected. So even if there is a typhoon and a huge tree falls, the damage to the farms is very minimal. So when you have all of these things in place, it gives you accurate information. Farming is no longer guesswork. In this age, inputs, fertilizer, chemicals are expensive. You cannot be applying things just by guessing. When you are using IoT sensors, it gives you how much of what you need to apply, where, and even how. Is my soil truly lacking in nitrogen? Do I really need a fertilizer? This thing will give you that information, and that is one of the things we are actually working on here at AgriPro. I can't go much into it because it's still cooking. I don't want to spoil the dish before it's ready, but just to give you a peek, we are working on some of these things. We want to give accuracy, no more guesswork, and just go and buy MPK 50-15. Oh, give me 20 bags, and then you're applying 20 bags, whereas perhaps all you need is just one bag. So at the end of the day, if you are using these things, you are increasing profitability by cutting down costs. So you don't apply unnecessary tools and chemicals, or even if it's organic, you don't apply them unnecessarily. You apply them as and when needed and the right quantity. And then also it gives you accurate data. Not every part of your field needs a fertilizer. Some parts of the field might be doing just fine. You don't need to add anything. But if you don't know, you keep on adding and adding, and you might even jeopardize what you have. Then again, once you are using accurate data, you are doing the right thing. You are bound to have productivity. So we are on the path of CSA. Again, because you are reducing chemical use, reducing all of that, things like surface runoff into water bodies is reduced. And so the environment says, I'm released. And so these things are things that we need to consider even as we are looking at climate agriculture. And the next one I love is the GPS and GIS. I like it because of the colors. No, super. No, super. Thank you. I like it because of the colors. I used to like drawing when I was a kid, so when I see these things, I'm so happy. So perhaps I would like to work here. But the GPS and the GIS, for a long time, we were using to find people's homes, shops, the location of your friends' church when you're going for the wedding. But hey, these things can be used in agriculture. And the GPS gives us the spatial data, and then the GIS gives us the analytics and now the visualization. So you can see this beautiful color code here with all the mappings that I'm so excited about. It gives us able to store data. So with these things, and we've actually simulated some of these things here. So, I mean, if you are here, a lot of things for you. So, we have a lot of farmers groups you can join. So, we don't leave without collecting. Sure. So, with this one, you get your favorite and soil data. I mean, how big is your farm? You can get your boundaries on your phone, and you know what's happening on your farm. If somebody is trespassing or whatever, even if you're an animal farmer, I don't have those questions here, but Let's say you have a huge cattle ranch and you have animals grazing in areas where they don't need to go. If you have this information, you can sit somewhere in your house and be able to tell that, hey, the animals are going astray. You call whoever manages your farm and let them get them back on track. So the applications are huge. Field boundaries and layout, soil conditions. So you don't need to guess once again whether to apply fertilizer, when to apply. All of that information can be derived by using the GPS and the GIS tools. Then we have crop environment management data. So it can give you the type of crops that are in a place. I think Dennis mentioned how you can use that for financial gain, so on the financial side, but it can help you to track what kind of crops you have here. And you know, for a farmer, if even at the management level, if you want to check your farm security, this is very important because perhaps you may be an investor and you have invested in somebody with a particular land to farm for you. Now, the person tells you there are 50 plants, maybe 15 days plants, but there could be 100. And if you have this information, you could actually detect that this person is not being eyeing me. So the applications are endless. Planting patterns, weather, irrigation, and pest pressure. I love that one. You can actually determine in this picture, you can see low, medium, high. It's giving you the pest population in the space. I have many aphids here, I have many millibugs here. And for the same space, it gives you whether it is high, low, or medium, so you know how much of what to apply where. So you're not going on a blind decision farm now. You are doing the right thing because you know what you need to apply when and where. And then you can actually predict your yield. Is it 100% accurate? Perhaps not, but it's better than trying to guess. How do you do that? You train the models, you give them, these days you have machine learning and all of that. You give them historical data of your yield so far. Then you combine that with the real time data of what is happening on your farm to give you an estimate of what you can expect. So we say don't count your eggs before they are hatched, but well, with GPS and GIS, you can estimate the number of eggs before they are hatched. This will help you with your marketing strategy. So you're not waiting to harvest before you approve the market, because you have a fair idea of what you are going to harvest, how many bags, and how to reach out to who. And this is also very powerful. We need to look at it. Then we have agroforestry. If you are in a place where you feel like I don't have access to sensors and GPS and all of that, but how do I still manage to be in line with CSA? Agroforestry is one of the ways to go. So you can see the picture. You have the trees, then the cabbage, the carrots, and then the trees. So practically agroforestry is growing trees and food plots on the same piece of land at the same time. And there are two forms of agroforestry. We have agros, in fact, there are many forms depending on what is combined. But I'm looking at two forms. Agro is agriculture, where you look at trees and food crops, either planted in alternating rows or interspersed. And then we have single pastoral, where you are combining food crops, tree crops, and livestock on the same piece of land. So how does this help us with CSA? Carbon sequestration, which reduces greenhouse gas emissions. As matter of fact, coffee agroforestry is showing us that it can sequester about 287 tons of carbon per hectare. That if you are intercropping coffee with a tree crop, that's how much carbon you can absorb from the atmosphere per hectare. And you have so much for both systems and so on. So once you are doing agroforestry, you are reducing greenhouse gas. And then it increases productivity and profitability. Yeah, so for the farmer who doesn't want to wait for plantain season to harvest plantain to make money, you can have your plantain on the same field with perhaps tomatoes or peppers. So all year round, you are reaping something. All year round, you are making money. You are not waiting for some bumper harvest to be able to sell something and until then everything is just dry. So that is how you increase productivity in agroforestry. And then again, it builds resilience. So with the trees on your farm, you minimize the risk of erosion because the trees act as a windbreak. So if there's a strong wind coming, they break the wind and it reduces the impact on the little crops of the farm. They also break the impact of rainfall, so your land is protected from erosion. And then again, their leaves may fall, and that is organic matter. If you have livestock, you can collect the manure and use that as well for for organic fertilizer on your farm. Then if you are incorporating the leguminous trees like Visia level, Cephala, Lyricidia, Stepium, all of those things. They will help you with the soil because they eventually add nitrogen to the soil. And this is very important. I don't know if you have animal farming here, let me just address the way they talk about it. One of the problems we have found in Africa, or let's say in Ghana, is that our soils are very low in nitrogen. How is that a problem? Because nitrogen eventually is used to form proteins. If you remember the structure of protein, CHO, and then there's the N. So if you don't have nitrogen, you cannot form proteins. Then for livestock like sheep, cattle, but they don't eat meat. So they must get their protein from the grass. So if the grass is in a soil that lacks nitrogen, you wouldn't expect the grass itself to have nitrogen. So it becomes the vicious cycle of low nitrogen in the soil, low nitrogen in the crop, and then the animal eventually doesn't get enough protein, so they don't grow well, and they take longer to grow. The money then goes down, and it's a whole vicious cycle. So these are things that are very, very important, and we need to look at them. All right. So looking at climate resilient crops, we are almost done. This is mind blowing. We have crops that have been engineered. I don't mistake genetically because that word now is a huge debate. So let me just say they've been engineered to withstand the pressures of climate change. So you have, for example, the DTMA, that's drought tolerant maize for Africa, produced by the International Maize and Wheat Association. And this is able to withstand drought. Traditionally, you need a lot of rainfall to be able to have your maize growing well. But in certain parts of sub-Saharan Africa, which are very close to the deserts, you don't have that privilege. So this was developed to be able to withstand the drought and still produce well. So it is helping farmers to build resilience, okay, to adapt to the changing climate landscape, to be able to still have productivity even in a challenging world. The next one, I love this so much, is scuba rice, but you can't use it for the scuba dive. So this one, we know rice lacks water, but too much of everything is bad. Beyond certain levels, the rice is going to die. But then you have this rice with a gene called the sub1A gene, which was isolated from the wild type of rice and incorporated into some modern varieties. It can actually be underwater for up to 17 days. So you're in a place where you have a flood and you have planted this, you need not worry that it's going to die. Because what happens is they act more like a snail or a frog or a toad in winter. What they do is that they hibernate, right? So they become inactive and then they are conserving energy. So with that gene, once the place becomes flooded and the whole rice world is underwater, it becomes inactive, it closes up, and then it can survive for up to 17 days. I'm sure by 17 days the floods will have receded and there will be fresh air. So these are some of the ways that we are building resilience to crops. So there are real world impacts. Lots of time I'm going to skip that. What do we do with all this we have found? It shows that the possibilities are endless. We need to look at climate finance because if you look at the scope of work that needs to be done versus the amount of money available, it doesn't match at all. So our governments, our institutions need to seriously take a look at directing funds where they need to go. If somebody is doing something that addresses the CSA, those are very worthy investment-worthy businesses that we should look at and give them the funding they need. And I think that is very important. We also have we need to work on our policies and all of that. And then we need to expand education. That's why we are doing all of this things to educate everybody and bring everybody on board that hey, this is what is happening now, this is where we are moving now, and you have a role to play. I also we can all do something in our own small way. You don't have to even own a farm. Mama is saying when she comes, she releases herself. She's doing aquaponics and farming in urban spaces. Your office space, you have space on top, that flat space. The balcony, some small. So the next thing is to achieve intensification. We all need to make this personal. It's not for the farmer in some rural area somewhere or for the policymaker in some air-conditioned office anywhere. It's for all of us. We all have a role to play. And I believe that if we all come on board, we will be able to secure our future Climate smart agriculture is a necessity, it's not an option. If we don't adapt, we will be like the dinosaurs. We could not adapt and they were wiped out. But we are not going to be like the dinosaurs. We are going to adapt because that's what humans do. We adapt to changing trends. And now that we are being faced with these challenges, I believe that we have ingrained in us the capacity to adapt and to do what is going to benefit our world. Thank you very much for listening to me. All right, so I think I'll take just one or two questions and then we'll move on to the next session. So if you have a question.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. I mean, we've had very wonderful sessions. The first one and this one as well, the last. My question is about the climate smart approach, looking at the technology and the data posting. What is the price of those activity for the agri consumer or so if you're investing heavily in solar and all of these technologies, looking at the models and even include like Africa, about 80% of household due to fragmentation is now inflation pricing, that kind of stuff. So if we move towards this in the future, then what will be the cost for the average?
Okay, so please, a question to all of us is looking at affordability of this. I believe there are many smart brains in this room, so I wouldn't want to say everything and answer everything. So I'm sure somebody has an answer. So if you would like to help our brother with an answer, or you want to say something, I appreciate it. Anyone? Okay, so what I'm going to say is that there are different options. So the prices are affected by the scale, the type of equipment, the scope, right? So as I was saying, we are trying to build some things like that. I can't go much into detail for both crop and animal sectors. So I'm working on the budget and when I realize yes, they can be quite quite high or costly. But then it's a worthy investment. I'm going to give you one simple analogy and then I think that might help. So I am more an animal scientist, so please pardon my animal science examples. If I'm a farmer and I happen to manage a farm business, so I've seen all the things there. If I'm a farmer and let's say I'm a weed and I'm an investor, then let's say I hire someone to manage my farm for me. Then I come to check the farm every week. The person tells me, oh, 3 animals are there. They're collecting 4 animals are there. Oh, you got only 200 plates of eggs. It's also money you are losing. For all you know, did 3 animals really die? Did you really have 200 plates of eggs or maybe 500? So, in as much as these things can be expensive, eventually it balances out somewhere. You see? So what you don't invest here might actually lose here. So once you make that investment, you safeguard what you have because your farm or your agribusiness is for investment. So you safeguard it. So it's, even though it can be expensive, and there are cheaper options, but what I want us to look at is the long-term benefit. Because in the long term, you are going to save a lot by reducing wastage of fertilizer application. You are going to save a lot by applying the right quantity of water. Imagine you're using a borehole to water your crops, and the cost of even pumping out water, electricity, and then you are just pumping, and you don't know, you probably need just maybe one, let's say 1,000 liters a day, and you keep on doing 10,000. So eventually, what you don't invest here, you lose here. So that's how to balance it. Yeah, I don't know if that's for you.
Yeah, you answered, but not my question directly, because my question was about the consumer who is going to buy through the food prices.
How it affects the consumer?
Yeah, the food prices.
Okay.
Because if you are investing this way, and we all know that your cost and your selling price is based on the margin plus your cost of production and all that stuff. So will it be affordable for consumers?
I think that's
this
why
one is more for like
normal tech wants to say something.
Okay, so if you have like 20 acres and you have these devices, you have these technologies supporting your 20 acres, when you compare that to somebody who also has 20 acres and doesn't have this technology supporting it, your yield is not going to be consistent. So on the same 20 acres, maybe somebody is pulling, I don't know how many bags of what you're planting, you're probably doing more because because you are precision farming. So when you do your accounting and everything, it actually really does balance out because you make more and you make quality, right? So quality sells also. If you don't know the kind of pest on your field, you know where they are concentrated and you're spraying everywhere, you have high levels of pesticides, and there are just a certain kind of people you can sell the produce to. But if you're precision farming, you have quality produce, people are going to pay premium for that. If you look at vegetables that have all sorts of spots and disease on them as compared to fresh vegetables, and when you actually do the comparison, one lasts on the shelf longer. So when you table your benefits, you are actually, getting your profits worth out of your investment.
Okay, I think that's it. You have to go on break very soon, so we'll take another question and then we go on break. Any other questions for anyone? No other question. All right, thank you very much. It's been wonderful having you guys around. And we are taking a break. We have the vendors outside. You can quickly grab something to eat, find out what they are selling, and of course, network. We are going to come back here very soon for a panel discussion on a very important topic. So please don't go home. And we still have the pay sessions coming up. See you back in about 10 minutes. Thank you. Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, Empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect, Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and shape.
Like it was like building up, and then this my passion is like really all those creatives and then also local, very local entrepreneurs having some nice products, look at African products that can be like shown to people, and I'm somehow connected to the expat community, and I like sometimes they don't know, they come for a short period of time, they don't know where to find these things. So I started inviting those creatives and those entrepreneurs to come and display at the event we call Mint Market. And it is similar to what you've seen here, but definitely on a bigger scale. And then meeting those local entrepreneurs and local creatives, like I was always like standing, giving them ideas, saying, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? And then I noticed that basically they don't have the capacity. They can create the product, they can give their creativity, but they are not sales people, they are not business people. So then I realized that there is a need for an institution that somehow can bridge that gap needed. And I was discussing it with professional people, and they said what you are looking to do is an ecosystem hub that can really help entrepreneurs. And this is how the idea came, and this is how we started. So, and here is Evie. I'm very happy, and thank you, Alison, because we couldn't have even done it without the help of everyone who was part of Evie.
It's actually just thank you for sharing that. Wendy, just so recently you had the opportunity to speak on panels where they were talking about blended financing agribusiness. What does it look like to fund agribusiness businesses, what's your take on capital coming down to Africa for agribusiness? And should it be locally driven or should it be, driven by foreign investment?
So I think the specific panel I was on is Alliance Yacht in Rome, and we had all sorts of people on the panel. The venture capitalists, Nestle was there, the Gates Foundation was there also, and we were speaking about how funding has sort of like trickled down when it comes especially to agri-innovation, agri-tech. In the last few years, and attributed it to the rise in AI, and that's also Silicon Valley talks about now. It's all AI, and last 10 years, agri-tech was trending. It was a big deal. Like a lot of people got funding from that, but as usual, all the funding was foreign funding, right? And when the finance is not coming directly from where it's being invested in, and when the times change, they also need to change, and that's what's basically happening. And AI came, Africa is still kind of catching up. And now the question was, okay, so what's the way forward? And they spoke about blended finance, and I thought like that was such a watered down answer, was sort of like a consolation prize, so as not to say we don't see a way forward. And then the finance was, government should give a little, philanthropy should give a little, private companies should give a little to sort of like support agri-tech and entrepreneurs in Africa. It's not a pity party, and I feel like we keep going back to the whole, packaged aid situation. It's a business, right? And I think in the near future, Africa has to wake up and invest in itself, because you're the only ones who can see our vision much clearly. And just sitting down thinking about, what should it be? Should it be local finance or should it be foreign? I don't think you can completely do away with foreign finance, but I feel like if someone is investing $1 into Ghana, they're expecting American Express kind of results back, and that doesn't fit our landscape. When you look at the Ghanaian infrastructure, when you look at our roads, when you look at the markets, that $1, what it will do probably somewhere in America, how far it will go, might differ in the landscape depending on the market you are looking at, because then there's regulation, right? And then when it comes even to logistics, it's completely different from what would have been in the US. And so you have, or even in Europe, so you have a lot of foreign capital coming in, and they are not getting the foreign results back. But as an African, if you're starting a business, like before you even start, you know how much you're spending on A, B, C, D. You know what you're doing. It's not like in other countries where probably there's a lot of support. I think Ghana was trying to do something like business in the box, where everybody can help you start up everything in regulation. It's almost sort of like there's some support, but it's not the best, and we haven't really scaled to that. So I think African founders, investors should really start investing like in the soil where they are, because at the end of the day, if it's not like a grant or something and it's real foreign investments coming elsewhere, you're expecting different results. But if the money is coming right where you are, you understand the landscape and you manage your expectations much better to get the maximum results.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important that it's interesting when we look at blended finance. It looks like repackaged way of, hey, if your government does something, then it de-risks the opportunity, so that when private sectors are coming in, they can. Why is it working for me? I'm sorry, cool. I think just to portion, I think from where you landed, it was Africans and should be able to invest in themselves. So, Paul, I'd like to ask you, looking at the farmers you work with, you work closely with a lot of poultry farmers, all the farmers you work with. What are their challenges in being able to access local funding? Like, what would you consider as these are their challenges? Because there's real challenges in farmers accessing local funding.
Okay, so I would like to start with a conversation as I was saying earlier. I had someone just this midnight. I'm not going to read everything because of privacy, but I just want to read some of the responses and the questions I asked and his responses. And because he's in a very huge cooperative, right? And they have a lot of people, sorry, especially, they have a lot of people within the cooperative. So you're wondering why they can't even access funding, over 500 people. So I asked him, and he said, personal funds with 2 exclamation marks. When I asked, how do you get money for your activities? He said, personal funds with 2 exclamation marks, telling you that, look, I'm not getting money from anybody. This is all my own money, and it's just him. And then he mentioned something that I felt was very pathetic. He said their overall head went to the Commerce University, I'm sure that's Current University of Science and Technology. Yeah, and they tried to get funding, but unfortunately, they didn't get it. And this is a local funding. So I was trying to understand why they didn't get the funding. Then upon further communication, I realized that he doesn't even know where to get the funds from. So I had to now tell him, you can go on LinkedIn, there are lots of opportunities posted on LinkedIn, and then usually you can sign up and you get some of these opportunities. But then the main problem is that I think that farmers have learned not to wait. Because if I have planted 10 acres of tomatoes, very perishable, and the thing is ripe, and I need to sell, I'm not going to wait for UN to whether FPA, AIDS, whatever, to come and give me money to harvest my tomatoes. You didn't ought to. So farmers have learned to finance themselves with personal funds, plow back profit, and even accessing loans within our setting. It's not easy because farming is deemed as a very, very risky enterprise. There is no assurance, like practically no assurance. Just because you are doing everything right does not mean everything is going to go right. You could be hit by a storm. A friend of mine, we went to shoot some videos on his farm earlier this year. A month later, I was talking to him like, a storm has just collapsed the greenhouse. They are starting all over again. So, when investors see these things, they feel like their money is not safe. They feel like if I invest in this thing, it might not work and I might lose my money. So the landscape, as we were saying, the blended, is not something they are the word is it's not something they are trying to suggest. It's what's actually already happening. The funding landscape is blended. It's heavily blended. There is funds coming in. Seriously, look at it. When the funds come, where do they go? They go to the government, right? Or maybe LBU. They don't come directly to the farm. The government is now going to craft programs like, feeding the future, feeding the who, feeding the blah, blah, blah. Question is, how much actually goes to an individual farmer? Sometimes nothing. And so, for example, if you look at the Maputo Declaration, they were saying that African economies should invest at least 10% of their GDP in agriculture. But even that at least, people are pushing for the governments to even do that at least. And even the least percentage of 10, most of the African governments are not able to do it, let alone exceed. So let me give a particular example. Governments, as I said, allotted 1.5 billion, and it looks huge. But if you look at the thing they're trying to do, it's nothing. So that was for the feeding Ghana and all of that agenda. They are looking at industrialization, smart farming, creating jobs, all of this with 1.5 billion, not for this but Ghana cities. By the time you set up 3 companies, how much of that money will be left? Assuming you want to do cocoa processing, even if you pick 3 regions, let's say the Puno region, the Ashanti region, the Eastern, by the time you are done setting up that entire flow of things, how much of that 1.5 billion Ghana cities will be left? Not to talk of smart farming, you're looking at getting sensors. So realize that what is actually being allotted to these things is really not enough. So the landscape has been blended for a long time. Farmers have had to find ways and means to fund themselves. And then if anything comes along, they latch onto it. But then mostly they are not really waiting. I think that what I can say is that mostly it's the agribusiness startups that sometimes have more access to this funding because most of the startups are young people. They are in the space of social media, so they easily hear about these things. They are into this climate and green stuff. Most of the farmers, as I was saying, they are thinking of how to get their profits and not really whether they are into climate smart agriculture and green. That's not really their. If you really listen to them, that's not their primary concern. And I feel like Western problems may not necessarily be the problems on this side. Not that they are not problems here, but they are not seen as problems here. When I was in Japan, very how to the population of wild animals was increasing, right? So they were looking at how to give them contraceptives so that they will not reproduce too much. Bring this same solution to Ghana, and the solution is get 10 hunters, put them in that forest, you will beg them to leave after 1 week. They will finish the animals' way, so realize that what they see as problems may not always be what we see as problems. Our problems are more increasing productivity, dealing with soil degradation, and they have solved those challenges. So they moved on, and then sometimes what they are proposing is like an elderly person telling you, hey, this is what you need to do, but we can't see that from our standpoint because we are not really in that space. If I have not solved the issue of armyworm, which is a big issue in Ghana, if I have not solved the issue of swine flu, which still affects swine, pigs in Ghana every year. And I was in the Eastern United where I saw people lost 600 pigs in a week. And it wasn't just one farm. If I have not solved avian flu and people are losing their entire farm in a week, why would such a person even think of how their activities affect the climate that they cannot see? Do you see? So, yeah, the landscape is relevant, and
Wow.
that's what's happening.
That's deep. This is like a master class, not a panel discussion. Thank you for sharing that. I think what I'm gathering from what you're saying is some of the things that we're talking about, like even the new term blended financing, is something that already exists in Africa, and it's almost like somebody has probably come to visit in SOAR and now transported, that solution, and now goes around the world to talk about something to look like it's something that is now, being developed. When you think about it in reality, that's something that actually exists here. And the challenge we find sometimes is how does that really get to the real farmers? Like how do you ensure that the money that gets the government, nothing against government, but you know what it is, when the money gets to government, what happens, how does it get to the actual agribusinesses becomes a challenge. Over to you, Mutia. I think that just because, I've heard you talk about, we've been talking for a while, so I've heard you talk about how entrepreneurs, people will literally come to you and say, hey, invest in my business, invest in my business. Would you say there are challenges you face in understanding, do they understand what it takes to get the investment, and what do you look out for when you're looking at, an agribusiness person, someone that comes to you and say, hey, I need you to invest in my business. What's that experience like for you?
In agriculture?
Yes. So if someone comes to you and say, hey, I invest in my business, what do you look out for, and what challenges do you face in understanding what they're doing?
So basically, I would look for. I can't really focus 100% because I've seen products that's more like have creativity and innovation, something that's not you don't find in the local market here. So they try to add value to the raw commodity or raw product. But in terms of like agriculture itself, never been there before. Although I've been working with in the Co-Corporation Institute of Ghana closely with cocoa farmers to see the challenges that they have and try to help. But at the end of the day, never thought of investing myself because I can see the challenges.
Talk to us about the challenges.
The challenges are a lot, and this traces back to the policy, I think. So maybe one of the things that led me to even start working on Co-Corporation Institute of Ghana is that when I was having a business course at Ashesi University, one of my lecturers, one of the assignments we worked on was related to the cocoa sector and research to do about the cocoa farming in Ghana. And then I remember there was the first time that I knew, for example, that the Western world or the international world sent a message to Ghana and Ghanaian farmers that we are not interested in processed cocoa. We are only interested in the raw cocoa. So if you want to process it, keep it for yourself. We are only interested in the raw cocoa. So definitely this is where we go back to the major discussion we are having here. That of course international investment, it's like they are coming here to get something they want. And this is, I think that it is totally right. It is up to Ghana, Ghanaian farmers, Ghanaian politicians to know what is the best interest for Ghana. So is it the best interest to really sell the cocoa row where it doesn't really grasp the value, the full value. While if you process a chocolate bar, how much is the return on that, and how much is the Ghanaian farmer or Ghana getting from that? So we're talking about cocoa, but this also applies to a lot of other things as well. So this is where now we can see that more and more people are trying to add value here. So for me, the challenge would be like, I wouldn't, honestly, I'm being I wouldn't go there. I'm trying to help. So I'm trying to bridge the gap to see where I can really add value. So this is why we set up Cocoapreneurship Institute of Ghana. And together we worked, me and my partner, Christy Leslie, who she wrote the book Cocoa. And she has a long history in research in the cocoa field. And we met with Nana Ohini Coco, and we met with Dela Akufo also, who has also experience in the field. And we tried to set up an institution, which is COVAC. Now it is there. So basically COVAC was not there before. So we worked for months to put a platform where we can gather all these cocoa entrepreneurs and bring them together and try to add value and try to grasp, to fill the gap in between the farmers, between the entrepreneurs, and between finding markets, for example. And even to start the channel of discussion with Cocoa Board, it was not there. So at least for Cocoa Board to hear what the cocoa farmers or cocoa entrepreneurs suffer, what they want. And to see that now the institution is there running, and then there's at least they have a speaker, they have a board, which is amazing for me. So I was more playing a role in that. If I were to invest directly, I wouldn't do it now because I know there's a lot of work to be done before even investing in that. But definitely, I would like to see those entrepreneurs coming out to really satisfy what the FDA wants and other institutions, so they will be able to export their products. And then this is where I can definitely think of investing and finding investors to join me as well.
Right. Smart answer. Yeah, I think I completely agree. So I mean, myself, background is done a lot of farming, in the past, and I realized that if somebody asked me now, would I invest? My answer would be the same, literally no, just looking at the problems in it was processing and taking the produce. I kind of understand, what that market looks like. So it's really important, which is a challenge in itself, because it's like a lot of things needs to be dealt with for it to make it very smooth for someone to actually invest in. So thank you for sharing that.
Can I share a real-time story, and I think it will benefit you? Yesterday I was in one memorial for a businessman here. I don't know if someone would know, his name is Marwan Trabusi. And basically his father was here in Ghana, and he grew up in Ghana, and he started investing. So going back to the same, he started investing. He saw that Ghana is very rich in mangoes, in pineapple. So he started his own farm in mango and in pineapple. And then the challenge came that how to deliver this to the outside, how to export these products. And then there was a challenge. He couldn't deliver that product directly to outside fresh. So he moved out to investing in aviation. So he started a business in aviation, and he started having his own airplanes, cargo airplanes. He's done deals with other airlines like British Airways, and that time it was also Ghana Airways, in order to be able to deliver those products fresh outside. So I think in Ghana, investors and entrepreneurs, they should be willing and having this zeal to even be investing in the problems. So when he saw a problem, he shifted and he created this aviation sector, thinking that there's no way Ghana products can go outside if there's no good aviation and cargo sector in order to transfer this. And in his memorial, everybody was speaking about how much he really made a change. And there were ministers, the president himself had someone from his side. So you can tell that at the end of the day, it's paying back, but you just need to have this open mindset.
That's interesting. I think that kind of shifts the position a little bit. Please clap. That's good. that shifts the conversation a little bit from just talking is finances local investors and Wendy, looking at we'll just take final round of questions, and if you have any questions for the panel, we'll take that and then we can wrap this up. Is what role does infrastructure and policy play in so that it's not even just about where is the funding coming from, but what role does infrastructure and policy play in even attracting any form of investment, local, international? What role would you say infrastructure based on what you've heard so far?
Yeah, I really like that question because something I'm really passionate about. As an entrepreneur myself, I've slowly realized that the problems are way bigger than we are. Like, okay, I'm going to have a farm at X and X place, there are no roads. You can't literally build the roads yourself. Okay, then there's transportation, then there's cost of fuel, then there's fine. And slowly in the future, I see myself moving more to advocacy and policy because Ghana is almost like a broken glass that people keep pouring water into. And we go on these panels, on international panels and everything, and we like to form. But when you look back, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, right? Let's just take transport. Let's not even go far. Transportation alone. Like you can have 60% post-harvest loss, and the culture is so broken that the farmers expect it. Like when you speak to tomato farmers, they're like, oh yeah, we know we are losing like 40, like it's bad. So just plant more. if you want more. And these are not situations that farmers have the liberty to go out of and solve. And so this, we really have to fix the infrastructure. Like, I don't necessarily, as you said, better finance is already existing. I don't necessarily blame that solution because it's the safest risk-averse solution there is, right? No one wants to directly invest in maybe a 100-acre farm somewhere in the north. How are you going to get the produce to the ports? So there are really huge issues that can only be solved in policy and in government. And professionally, I've worked in agricultural development for a long time. This is a farm analytical development work, like GIZ, FAO, BFP, and I've slowly realized that that is where most of the cracking and the work is. Getting the policy done alone is work. Getting it implemented is work. Getting finance to implement it is work, so that the farmers can finally have, and it takes millions to do that. Just let's say to build enough roads to the northern region to get farmers to get produce from here to here. But over the course of time, that investment benefits millions of farmers in that specific area. So the entrepreneur has like, I think when you're entrepreneur, you're fighting, as you said, like there's some three-headed dragon you're fighting. Like you have to be an expert in logistics, you are pitching, you are doing like paperwork, like it's almost all round. And someone said, I think in the room the last time, that farmers want to be farmers. They don't want to have to figure out the logistics. They don't want, the farming alone is enough work. It's enough work. And then you have to force them to figure out their packaging and add this so that you can sell it at a greater. They are not interested. Can someone please buy it now? Do you get it? So we really, there has to be a lot of support, if not, the money will come. Let's say, okay, we finally get around the finance and we get billions, and the money does come. There are not enough roads to support it. There are not enough packaging houses to support it. There are not enough processing companies to support it. So that's a really important aspect.
Wow, that's interesting. Hey, when you're talking about Africa, when I talk about where it comes from, so good. So I think that for you, I think we need to get solutions. As we're talking about, what we are doing is like talking about the problems that everybody already knows, right? What do we do now? I think it's my issue. It's like in the midst of all of this, like the problems, it's not gonna go away right now. It's like it's been there for decades, and it's not gonna change. But what can we change, like from how we approach things in terms of getting the financing? And what I'm saying is there's a deficit of $75 billion of what is needed to finance the agribusiness in Africa, and that's 85% of, how do I say it? Like, it's almost like we are losing 85% of value from not having that kind of money, into the industry. And so it's like the funding. I was talking to someone that was, writing a book on cocoa farming, and one of the, it's from Romania. When he came to Ghana, one of the things we ended with is that money just is the biggest problem. And yes, where the money is coming from is important, but like without the money, you can't find. Final point before you answer the question is, there's a middle class form. Maybe it's not middle class I'm looking for. Between the capital investment of $50,000 to $1 million, a startup that is looking for that kind of money. That's where the problem is. Like, they're not able to scale past. Look at your friends, the people that have startups. They're not able to scale past a particular kind of juice making, like whatever. No attack against it, but it's like it's a cycle of small money that they made, 10,000, and they're not able to get $50,000. All the accelerator programs start out $10,000, $5,000, $2,000. So you never go past 50,000 to $1 million. And if you're able to break that, for a lot of countries that are able to do that, they've seen a very fast leapfrog in the industry. So what do we do, putting that in mind, to make sure that even in the midst of all of this, we're able to get to solutions? And once you answer that, we'll ask everybody if they have any questions, and we can close there.
Thank you very much for the question. So I want to say that money is just an amplifier. It amplifies what you already have and what you already have. If you don't have structure, when you are given money, it will just amplify the fact that you have no structure. It will just expose you like that. So getting money won't suddenly make you get a structure. You need to have that in place. And I'm going to give a practical example. So we began this maybe year of the new administration, no politics, but just to bring a real issue on the ground. We are going to give everybody checks to start a poultry farm. Very nice idea. I had been in that industry and I've seen the challenges. So I was like, this thing is a whole lot more thinking than what it is. I'm not saying you don't think, but I'm just say what I said. Because if everybody now has chicken, who buys some chicken? If you have chicken, you have chicken, you have chicken, you have chicken. Who buys some chicken? And you can't eat all the chickens you bred. So what happens to the surplus? And that's what we are facing now. So many eggs in the system, and there is a glut. And where does it go? Because in our system, what we do to eggs, cook, boil, fry. Beyond that, nothing else happens to eggs. Nobody's using eggs for custard, for egg powder, for whey protein. None of that happens. So now we have many people producing chickens, and we have so many eggs that we actually need to consume. And there is a glut on the market, and eggs are like so cheap. Farmers are having to sell eggs at lower prices. I'm comparing prices now to prices last year. And I'm realizing there's been a drop. Why? Because supply has increased, demand is practically the same. So you have to reduce the price. So assuming the back end has been done, build industries that will convert the surplus into something so that we don't have to think of only cooking, boiling and frying eggs. Then we wouldn't be in this situation where farmers, now mind you, price of feed did not decrease in correlation with the falling price of eggs. So the same amount of money you are spending on feeding those chickens is the same thing. But now the produce has reduced in price. So do you even make your profit, even break even? Do you see? Somebody said, but if the eggs are increasing, no, cost of feeding is the same. I don't think ECG has reduced their tariffs or anything. I don't think Ghana Water Company has reduced the cost of water bill. So you are practically paying the same amount, but then the end produce has fallen in value. So you realize that we scaled something, but we didn't have enough structure, and now we've been exposed. Now we didn't have structure, we've just been exposed. Because if this thing had been done, we would have probably gone ahead to establish industries to process the thing before, giving out this chicks. So what needs to happen? Everybody must play a role. Farmers don't need to wait for saviors. Saviors still have to come. That is the thing. So if you're a farmer, you can't do everything, but do what you can. That is why when you are siting your farm in the first place, location is very important. The fact that the land is there and it's your father's land doesn't mean that is where you need to start from. It might be your father's land and you may get it for free, but is there a road to that place? Because if at the end of the day you are looking at the fact that by starting over there, you are going to avert the cost of leasing of land, what you save over there, you will lose in transportation. I remember when I was working in the EC as a farm manager, we supplied chicken to Marina Mall, and there is a straight route through Amasaman that will bring you to Achimota, come through 37, and then take that airport to it. But because of that road, you will have to go through Ebri, come to Oyarifa, and this is time. So if the chicken is supposed to get to the mall by 11 a.m., we get there by 1 p.m. 2 hours have been wasted. Don't forget that the car is a refrigerator bank, so it's consuming fuel. So we are spending more money on fuel than we should have because the road is not good. But at least that farmer made an investment in getting his own van. What about those who don't have that van? Christmas is coming, you see farmers advertising. Broilers for sale, broilers for sale. Everybody's doing the same thing. And who really buys the chicken? Because there is a glut, and so now the consumer can flex you because they have the money and you need them to buy, otherwise it's going to go waste. So farmers have to do their part. Don't site your farm just anywhere at all because that is the land your father bought. Look at accessibility and look at access to market. So even if you are siting your farm in the northern region, and I think now they are doing well, we have quite a number of good roads. It's not 100%, but at least it's not as it used to be probably 10 years ago. So when you are siting the farm, look at these things. That's one. Farmers should join cooperatives. The world is growing on networking. It's easier to do it in a group than alone. Assuming you have 10 tomato or cabbage farmers putting their goods together to transport to a market in Accra or in the Ashanti region, it reduces the cost of transportation and you having to get logistics on your own. So, and farmers are doing that, but I think they need to scale what they are doing and work together. When it comes to the government, right? Look, the government has to be really, I want to use a very nice word. The government has to really get into agriculture. Like they really need to understand what is happening and how they can help. Because the roads, you can't get a bunch of saying and construct a road unless you are that rich. And even with that, you need a lot of permissions and maybe metropolitan assembly documents and all that. So the government has to do that work. It won't be done by anybody. Even if they cannot tar the road, at least they should get one of these caterpillars. I don't know the name they call them. I think the local name is grading, right? To grade the road. Because where I was, the roads were bringing eggs to Accra. You have to tie the eggs as if, it's a kung fu belt or something. Right? You have to really tie the eggs so that by the time you come, sometimes you have lost some of the eggs. Assuming it were a smooth road. Because the road is literally like going to a gym. Right? So if you are in Ghana, you don't need to go to a gym because by the time you are done traveling, the whole body has been exercised. Like, it's done the work for you. So the government, and there are so many farms in that Amasaman, in Samuel area. So those days are non-negotiables. So I'm very happy they were constructing the road, only that it took too long. But they need to look at that. And then when they say they are funding farmers, the money should get to the farmers, not some farmers. You see, we shouldn't do these things where some get it, some don't get it. And if some are not getting, let us educate them. We have the NCCE and all of them. Their role is to educate, right? Let them educate farmers on how to access these things. Because some farmers don't know where and how to access grants. They don't know the process for applying for these grants and loans. So that education must go out. And then the private investors, it's a risky business, but the farmer has invested. It's a risky business, but the farmer has invested. So we have to trust that the farmer will do everything within his strength to make sure that things are done right, because his investment is also on the table. So assuming the farmer is doing 70% and you are bringing in 30%, because of his 70%, he's not going to allow everything just go down. So we need to be a bit more bold and test the waters. I mean, don't go and put all your money in it as well, but just a little to see how it goes. And people are doing that. If God says come and buy shares, everybody will go and buy. If MTN says come and buy shares, everybody will go and buy. We are not looking at the fact that sharks will go and chew their cables like we have this cable issue sometimes, but we think that MTN is a credit-worthy, trustworthy investment. But when it comes to the farms, we feel like the risks are too many. The same risk apply everywhere, honestly. MTN could literally be hit by something. I mean, I'm not a prophet of doom. So the risk that we are looking at, I think agriculture is just magnified, but it's a business. So if it's a business, then the risks are the same across all businesses. So why do we feel more comfortable investing in a restaurant business when the person doesn't know how to cook? What if people come there and don't like the system, but people will feel more comfortable investing there than in agriculture?
Thank you for sharing that. Any questions for the panel? Yes. That's it.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because, of course, a lot of you spoke about infrastructure being the biggest problem, and obviously you also touched on the fact that the government needs to support that more. But I just wanted to ask you a question in terms of like what makes it more attractive to giving access to having reliability on private investment. I know you touched on just now like community and corporate sort of farmers coming together. How would you sort of how would you sort of like shore that up for private investment, and how do you get to a point where maybe even as a community, if there's infrastructure problems, they can not only think about coming together with their crops and their goods, but they can figure out how that can be invested in the infrastructure of that community. So I just want to ask, in terms of like that individual basis, if government was out of the picture and it relied on people, what would you say is the best road for that to make it more profitable for farmers? That's the end.
Okay, I'll give an example. So working with one mango corporation the mango corporation in Ghana, and the example he cited about FBOs, apparently I didn't visit, but in Ivory Coast and other surrounding countries, these FBOs sort of like draw the investments and even the action of governments to themselves because of how well organized they are. So you have a cooperative of 60 mango farmers. That alone is enough organization for them to claw back their profits, invest, okay, do your numbers right, and tell private investors that if you invest in us as a whole, you know, this is what you're getting out of it. So they are no longer sitting on their backs and waiting for governments to come and do A or do B. They're like, as a cooperative, and they don't work as individual farmers, like they work as a whole, you know. So if, unlike side selling and all of that happening here, if maybe you have a buyer and they're able to negotiate prices much better, everybody sells till the whole corporation has agreed, this is who we're selling to, this is our standard, and they then went on to invest in their own private mango processing company. So now the farmers own the processing company, right? And so, as he said, the farmers have invested themselves. If there wasn't a profit-making venture, they wouldn't have invested. And so instead of relying on external profit, they pool their funds together, and that's what's very attractive for private investment. Another one of the advantages of such an FBO situation is now convincing government to build the roads to them. There are 60 farmers, these are the acres we have. This is the amount we are exporting. This is what the government stands to gain by developing, and you know, the government is sort of kind of like a business. Like they need to know why. Just because there are 5-10 farmers who are losing somewhere here and here, they're not going to get up and construct it, because now the government is taking loans to construct it, and where are they going to take it from? You know, so I believe that if people can, farmers can, as you said, get training to sort of align themselves better when it comes to certain cooperatives in America. Soybean, cocoa is really strong, but then we don't see other markets as strong. Tomato, vegetables, maize, and all of that. If we are able to come together as a cooperative in various communities, it's a better way to sort of like draw investment and attention and development to themselves. So that's kind of like the answer. And when you do
Because like you said, that would be a problem here. How do you get that community sense so that it does become tied as an investment? Or from that example that you gave.
Right. So for just a certain training and stuff like that, it was like a 3-year program where a development partner invested in contract farming training, right? So there was a continuous issue of side selling. It wasn't helping anybody because you think you're side selling to get more money, but then they're cheating the whole corporation because now they buy from everybody at a lower price. Everything thinks they're outsmarting, the bigger processing companies, and so they had to sort of like come to invest in training the farmers, the importance of keeping your word, different kinds of contracts, and also some of the farmers were getting the short end of the bargain because they didn't know any better. So maybe it's a verbal agreement or maybe it's a formal agreement and all sorts of legalities were involved in that. And so they invested in that and the success of that program was they got maybe 500 to 600 farmers and processing companies coming to an agreement. But that is just the start of it. The farmers still have to keep their end of the bargain. So I also feel like education is really more important. When you look in Ghana, the second generation of farmers coming up, some are more educated, and that is what kind of helps. Because if you really just don't understand the business of it, you're not going to stick to your word. So it's education that comes to play along that.
We'll take one last question just for the time. Okay, quick one.
Let me just add something. So to make it attractive, in addition to that, we need record keeping. So if a farmer shows up here and tells you for the past 5 years, this is what I've done, this is how much I've earned, this is my productivity, you will be more trusting of that farmer because of records, and if he shows up with word of mouth. Right? And then also with side selling, many farmers that are spoken to, at least for the crops are spoken to, they don't even side sell because they've gone through the whole process and they know that if they side sell, they are losing. Before the corporation is going to set a price, they consider cost of production, transportation, and your profit. So if you side sell, you are doing yourself a great disservice. Besides, the cooperative can sell over 10,000 parts in a day. How much can you sell in a day? So most of them are actually sticking to these goods.
Okay,
Last
so,
question.
mine is a contribution and a question. I would say that with the education, as you're saying, it's very necessary. But how are we going about the education? The education, who is doing it? Because if I can recall, when you go to UCC, okay, they have an agric farm. But the last 3 years I visited, the farm is abandoned. So I asked myself, how is the agric education going on? Even from the university level, we are not seeing it. So who does the education to the farmers? Is it the Ministry of Agric? Is it we, the local groups like this? So who does the education? Because we need to find a way of reaching the farmers. Because events like this, I would say, not all farmers can participate. So if you can also reach out to the villages and places where you think the farmers are, to educate them more on it, it would help. And also, in as much as they are forming their associations, the buyers too, we need to encourage them to also form an association. Because buying on your own is also expensive. But if you have a corporation like the juice, those who produce juice, like juice makers, they should also form their association. So that like the mango that you're saying, if they have an association to absorb that mango, it makes everything balanced. So that within ourselves, minus government, we can also do something. And then when government steps in, it makes things easier. Because the government, they have a lot to do. I don't know what they are doing up there as a ministry. But it is their work. But I'm not seeing what they do. So in as much as government is there, let's put them aside. But on our own, we also need to do something.
Because I got my first. There's a lot happening that sometimes I feel like we don't know about. Until I started talking to farmers, I realized sometimes you need to think that farmers don't know what they are doing to the farmer. They will give you metrics, they will give you amounts, and some of them have not even gone to senior high school, but they understand their craft. So you were mentioning buyer group. The buyers have association, that's why they have the market screens and all of those things. As whether they are registered or not, that I can't say. But in a way, they have these groups. That is why when other people were doing this thing, connecting farmers to buyers, you'll be surprised that the farmer knows the price that is supposed to be sold at, and the buyer also knows the price. Where did that communication happen? So there is a whole lot of like underground communication that if you are not involved, you might never know it's happening. For example, we're trying to connect maize sellers to buyers. The buyers did not know the maize sellers were talking to, but they knew the right price. And the maize farmers also knew, and nobody was willing to go below that price, which means that there is some form of communication or intelligence that is circulating. But because women, you might not be in that space, you may feel like, oh, everybody is, no, people are really structured. It's just that they've not brought to light that they are structured. Then with regards to education, the first call is the government. But then we can't put them aside because they are government. We have to work with them. But then, aside the government, other organizations like AgriPro, we are coming together with Enterprise Village Blue, New Age and Red, World Food Forum to put this together. So it's not just the job of the government to educate, but then all of us that have some sort of knowledge in the right direction can come on board, partly, and then put out the knowledge so that we can all be on the same page.
Also, do you guys have a final word?
Answer your question when it comes to the education. I actually do agree with your submission on people having buyers having cooperatives, because now these are all around TI kind of cooperative. But then you do need a structure, and sometimes Ghanaians they're not very interested in structure because they are scared of the regulation. When then you have to do papers, now we say we should pay tax. Now we are out there, want to be in the market so that people don't get us. But then what you said about the training and the research, it all comes down to funding. The government is not funding these agri colleges and universities. They can't keep running these farms. University of Ghana has done well in running most of their farms, but they run it like a private business almost. So if you want land to do something, you have to pay. It's not subsidized by the government, but also development partners do well. So when it comes to the education, if you do have a cooperative and maybe 1% of the cooperative is here, and they learn that, we can get contract farming training, and that's when maybe a mango processing company knows that our FPO is certified, we've had contract farming training, they will be more interested in having a contract with us because we know that we're going to be on our word and everything, we know the business. Where travels far. So there are organizations, there are extension organizations that offer these trainings, but then, as I said, second generation farmers who have knowledge of this need to sort of like make the call, help with the organization and everything. So it's kind of like all hands involved and more of the education. The regulation is good because now if you're regulated, you're helping yourselves. Not one person will go and sell bad produce to this company. I will say the whole area, we don't buy from here, all of that. So if they really understand the reason why these things happen, you have more of this organization coming in, and then you have better contract, and then you can get the government to come and support. That's why I think.
Thank you. Oh, please clap for them. You said any last words? Do you have any last words? Do you have any last words based on what you heard?
So actually, I'm really learning today from a lot of you guys about the new challenges. I've mentioned someone speaking about a book farm. Were you speaking about a book farm? Yes. Okay. Because I know that one of the cooperatives I worked with is called a bookfa in cocoa sector, and this is where all the farmers came together in one cooperative, and they were able to achieve a lot actually. And when they were doing signing international contracts with people who are interested in their cocoa. And this is a good example. I've seen good, successful examples in Ghana already, so it is there. And I would say it is about education and educating not only the farmers but even everyone who needs help in the entrepreneurial sector. And this is why we came to provide the solution at EV. And I would say always it takes one successful example for others to follow. I've learned it in every industry. industry, I look to see where is the gap, I find a solution, and then the minute that solution is successful, generating income, everybody will follow because you've done the first step. So it's also the same. We're talking about governance, we're talking about international capital, but actually what we are trying to do here at EVA with the help of Edison and Group and all the partners, strategic partners, is to really set a successful solution, and the minute it's starting to be prosperous and it pays back, you will see everyone trying to do the same. Not everyone is the first mover, so we are the first movers here, and you are all with us. Whoever is here, consider yourself as first movers into something, and let this discussion somehow be a seed for thinking out of the box and trying to find the strategic partner, local partner. Again, I would say that's all the people you need to, all the partners or every capital you need or educational institution you need, they are here, they are local. Just look for them first before we talk about international capital or even government resolutions. The others will come as a follow-up for sure.
Awesome. I think that's a way to kind of close the conversation. Yeah, at the end of the day, we can start, this solution. Like, at the end of the day, I think what Mutia said is really important, and we can end with that wherever the gaps are, is an opportunity for innovation. And if we come together, because I've heard a lot of clusters, connections, community building, it just means that if we come together as a community, as a group of people, we can actually start to scratch the surface and solve the problem. Thank you guys for joining the panel. I didn't know that you guys were this deep, man. Like, everybody's giving like deep insight. So thank you for showing up. Please give a round of applause to Ashley. Thank you for clap for them. So I think hand over to Baby Ashley. We're getting ready to get into the pitches and while we're here. So they're able, all these things we're saying, okay.
Thank you, everyone. That was a very good discussion here, and I hope you all learned a lot. So, I'm going to also talk a bit in line with what's already been discussed. So, for the past few months, we've been doing a lot at the Enterprise Village. I'm coming to talk about the Enterprise Village. So, as the Pitch Perfect is one of the programs that we do, basically we support businesses. We create spaces like this for you. And the most exciting thing, we have a very great news. We are introducing a venture studio where we want to close 90 days challenge that you founders are facing. And you all can make with me that for founders, when you start your idea, when you start your business, within the 90 days, you always face capital, how to even build, with having the team to build, and also getting to the market. So that's what we are. That's why we're introducing the Venture Studio. So with the Venture Studio, we're also looking into 5 sectors, which are our 5 pillars. We have the BPO and service, and we also have the health distribution and e-pharmacy. We also have the agri-value chain and agri-value and cold chains. So we have 5. We also have the fintech operations, and we are also looking at export and logistics. So if you go to our website at www.theenterprisevillage.com, every information about the Venture Studio is there. We have opened our cohort application, and then we are going to we are looking at 300 applications. At the end of the day, we will select about 12 founders and ideas. We'll deal with you. We are doing that in 12 weeks. So by the 7th week, we expect you to get your first revenue, and by the 12 weeks, you are also scaling. So go to the website and you scroll down. to the last part, you can, if you're interested, you can partner with us. And if you are a founder and you have an idea around these sectors that you are looking into, you can submit your application. Application is already ongoing. So just know you can go to our website and you can also submit to partner with us. So this is the great news I wanted to share with everyone. So you don't need to have the struggle with your idea. Just come to us, go to our website and submit your application. Thank you. So the next thing we are actually is to start the pitching. So we are currently set up. Just give us some few minutes. What will happen is we have a pitch line and we have founders that have submitted the ideas to pitch for feedback and also get you people to tell them, guide them and help them. So they'll be coming forward to pitch. So we just want to put everything in place. So if can I see the founders? Are you here? Yes. So if you're here, we'll be calling you. If you also see your slides, you can just move forward. You have 5 minutes to pitch and also 2 minutes for questions. Yeah. Thank you. You have a question? Okay, another thing is thank you, Wendy. So, once if someone pitch, sorry, come.
Hi everyone. Hello. I know I'm not a familiar face. My name is Karis and I work with Enterprise Relations. I have manager. Well done introducing the mentions today. I think she did an excellent job. Seeing that the screen was not stop flying, so I think you did very well. Like you said, we were doing a couple of things over the couple of months, and we're trying to really amplify the value of businesses within the continent, within Ghana, and within Africa. And we're looking forward to working closely with businesses because we feel like it's okay to have a business, but it's also okay to make yourself ready to scale, to receive funding, and also manage yourself better because everyone says they want money, but when you start speaking to businesses, you realize that they have real problems. They probably do not record or have their books in check. They also do not have basic business knowledge, how to manage people, how to communicate with people, so they may be facing problems that people would face every day. Maybe they hire someone, the person leaves. They probably don't know how to manage people effectively. We are not saying that people joining you and leaving is something that is your fault, but I'm just saying that if they knew better how to, manage people, keep people, have, a long-term plan for them and things, maybe it would help grow their business better because we know that the cost of hiring people actually goes a long way to affect the productivity of businesses. Now, it's time for pitching, so I'm going to stop talking so much. I know people are very excited to come and pitch their businesses and then share the exciting things that we have in store. Before we go into the demo, I'm going to show you where you need to go pitch or maybe where you need to go do the voting. I think that everyone may have already logged on to the loudspeaker dashboard. Please, if you haven't logged on, can I please see your hand? If you haven't logged on, perhaps someone can help you right away. Okay, that's excellent. Looks like everyone has done that. So before we go back, We received a lot of pitch decks, a lot of pitch decks, and we saw some really interesting, business ideas. And it's actually really nice to see how driven people are and how futuristic and forward-thinking people are. So, when you come to the dashboard here, if you can kindly please open them on your phone. Albert, can you kindly show? You should see this event. Before you get there, you'd be able to go to context. Let me start from the beginning. Can you kindly go back to the homepage? Good. So if you click on events, you see the events. Once you click on the events, you see Pitch Perfect. When you click on the Pitch Perfect, you bring it here to contest. If you cannot find it, you should see a hamburger menu on your phone. That is the 3 lines on the right hand side of your phone. Once you click it, you can click on contest. You can click on contest on the menu and it should bring you here to this dashboard. Please, are we all there? If anyone is facing a challenge, can I see so we can help? You are there. Okay, so your contest. So when you click on contest, okay, I think it's loading, so we'll just wait for it to load. Good. But is anyone here yet? Has anyone been able to get to this stage, please? The network. You've been able to reach. Excellent. So it's pretty straightforward. Once you click on contest, it should be able to show you the list of businesses that are going to pitch today. Some of them are present, some are yet to come, some are not here at all. So once we mention your name and you are here, you have 5 minutes to pitch and 2 minutes for questions. During the period of 2 minutes, that is when, as an audience, you get to vote. Okay, so can we kindly click on the contest? If the network is slow, when it's time, probably give some extra minutes for people to be able to vote. If you were able to get to contest and you click on the agribusiness Pitch Perfect contest, you should be able to see this on your dashboard on your phone. Please, if anyone is lost, can I see your hand? If you are lost, you don't know where we are at currently. It looks like a lot of people's network is not good.
So on my phone, the overview is not showing, the contestant is not showing, the voting criteria doesn't show me.
Did you click on the hamburger menu on the right hand side?
Yeah.
And did you see contests?
Yeah, I have status here, I have contestant here, I have votes.
When you clicked on contest, where did it take you? Have you been able to get there now? Please, are you there now? You too. It's still buffering, but it's loading.
Yeah, so literally I'm saying that some, because it's like this. It's
Right. Because on the phone, yeah, it's quite responsive. The layout is different. Okay. Sorry? Good. So please click on it. So if you look here, once you click on contest, I believe most of us have now reached the stage. You see this. There's an overview, there is votes, there is results and settings. So what we need to do, Albert, can you kindly scroll down? Let's see. Okay, so this is where the contestants are, and this is the voting criteria. So can we kindly click on votes amongst the options here? Okay, so on your dashboard, you should be able to see the contestants. I don't know why this isn't showing there. You can see it on, yes, good. Presentation can either be from what they're showing you via the screen, or maybe how they articulate their thoughts. So you will be the judge of that. You also vote by feasibility, okay, how realistic or achievable the project is. And then we have, I think that's the three main things. And innovation, which is how innovative or creative the idea is. And you can score from 1 to 5, 1 being the least and 5 being the highest. Once you are done, you can just submit the vote. However, there is a small portion there that says optional comments. If you think you have some feedback, you can probably just drop it there. Once you are done, you can submit vote. So so when you look at the first person, in this case, you are using Enoch as case study. Once you are done voting for him, then you submit the votes. Then when the next person comes to pitch, you'll be on your phone. The next person comes to pitch, you vote for the person, you submit your votes. So you just keep track of who is currently pitching so that you can allocate the votes accordingly. Or which business is currently pitching. Please, are we okay? I think it's very simple. Okay, good. So then at this point, we all need to be at this point of on the phone so that we can just keep track. So I'm going to mention the first business that is going to pitch. If they are available, they will come. If they are not available, we'll just skip to the next business. So the first, and the pitching lineup, the first business is Peel Nova Limited, Company Limited. Peel Nova Company Limited. Please give a round of applause. Timer. Good. So Dennis is going to be our timer. Dennis, can we see you? So this is Dennis. He's going to be our timer. 5 minutes for pitch and 2 minutes for questions. Do we have their pitch deck ready? Beautiful. Okay. There you go, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would want to start with a story about Mother in Marietta. A pineapple and orange farmer who loses up to 50% of agricultural produce each and every year. The pain doesn't end there. She comes home and finds her only son sick. Every night she faces an impossible choice. In one hand, a synthetic mosquito coil that works, but makes her asthmatic son cough and struggle to breathe. In the other hand, nothing, leaving him vulnerable to malaria. She often chooses to put the coil down when he spends the night, waving a cloth over his head, exhausted and terrified. This is a painful reality for millions, a trade-off between one danger and the other. The fight against malaria has been creating a silent crisis for respiratory health. At Nova, we asked a simple question. What if Marietta never had to make that choice? What if the most effective protection was also the safest? We found our answer not in a foreign lab, but in the abundance of our own land. We looked at agricultural waste and saw a resource. We saw a way to protect our health and our planet at the same time. We do so by converting discarded pineapple and orange peels and other natural additives into eco-friendly mosquito-repellent products to help combat malaria and other insect-borne diseases. Honorable judges and viewers, we are not just another mosquito coil. We are the better option. We are more affordable, we smell pleasant, we are healthier to breathe, and we are environmentally sustainable. We win on every single metric that matters to the modern African consumer. We'll meet our customers where they are, from digital campaigns to partnerships with pharmacies and supermarkets. We'll make Nightingale accessible to every household, each and traveler who needs a safer choice. We are seeking 2,000 Ghana cedis to facilitate our product registration and to make our marketing strategy to help us make Pionova a household product and bear a household name. We are a diverse, passionate, and capable team combining scientific expertise with operational and business excellence.
and we are deeply committed to making Pionova's mission a reality. We are seeking to create 100 direct jobs and 150 indirect jobs, whilst empowering farmers by buying their waste to help save lives. And so, I leave you with this. By investing in Pionova, you're not just funding a business. You're helping save lives. You're ending impossible choices for mothers like Marietta. You're turning waste into wellness and building a healthier, safer Africa for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pionova. That was impressive. We have 2 whole minutes to vote, so you have your voting dashboard. Please vote for innovation presentation. Yes, you deserve that high five. So well done. So if you feel like you are impressed by what you see, please take your time to vote so we can move to the next business. Thank you. Seconds more for voting to end for Pionova. Please give her a round of applause. She did very well. 37 seconds. Seconds more. Five seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much for your votes. The next business is CFT Africa. CFT Africa. Please let's give them a round of applause. It's not easy to build a pitch there.
Yeah, thank you all, and to our panelists who just gave the presentation there. We're so proud of you because I think your presentation really validated the solution that we are solving, and I hope that through this presentation you also get to see it yourself. So my name is Joshua Jeffrey, and I'm co-founder of CFT Africa, and what we are doing is to create a profitable market for smallholder farmers and also make agriculture a viable career opportunity or career path for our young generation. So there is an opportunity, which or the opportunity paradox. Africa can feed the world by remain food insecure. We have over 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land. 50% of Sub-Saharan African workforce are smallholder farmers, and yet we are still the most food insecure region globally. And there's also a gap when it comes to exports to China. China alone has pledged that is in 2021 the forecast that they want to export over 100 billion worth of agricultural products from Africa. But as we are speaking, Africa is doing less with that, about 5% of it. So we have over 95 billion gap, which we can still look into it and create a lot of value for our farmers. So we have the problem, and we see the problem as a broken food system, which fails both the farmers and mostly the buyers as well. And the reason is why most of these institutional buyers are not even able to deal directly with smallholder farmers and dealing with aggregators and middlemen who will later advertise what they think they can get from them. So farmers are being exploited by middlemen, they're keeping less than 40% of the value. There's also market barrier, no traceability, as well as nice access due to digital record and stuff that will help them to keep accurate credit score on that stuff. Our buyers also struggle to find reliable and verified supplies and face inconsistent quality and good pricing. So our solution. So we have a platform, CFT Africa platform, that is the digital trade infrastructure for agriculture. So what we do is we engage farmers offline, and by youth-led agents. So we have a very powerful model, which is something that is more scalable than what we already have in the system. What we see with most of our competitors, they have agents who onboard farmers, but this is tied to their expenses. So really scaling to more agents as well as more farmers will also bring a lot of pressure on their cash flow and all that stuff. Ours is a shared-based economy model where once we are getting more agents on more farmers and also source from these farmers, agents also get more commission. So you can see like the people of agriculture, the data revenue, and do more details as well. And we have verified traceable farm data and quality assurance, monitoring institutional buyers, and enable transparent payments and other access to finance. So this is our mobile app that we use to onboard the farmers through our agent farmers who are also things that they can still onboard themselves and own their data. And we have a dashboard that we use to help buyers to track their produce whenever they order. And we use the same dashboard for farm management and all of the stuff. All right, so please let's go. So this is our team. I'm sure we have a CTO that is still here, and we have a farmer relations manager that's Frida, and then we have also data and AI lead who is Catherine, and we have our advisors with the Betty, who's an Islamic bank and also a capacity development expert. We have Samuel Fori, who is SPWC and also part of our strategic development team, and we have Dr. Christopher Dekubine, who is also an agri innovation expert and also from Wagner University. So that's our team. Thank you. Please let's go. So we are looking at an opportunity here. Africa has about, the agricultural market in Africa is about 300 billion market going towards 1 trillion by 2030. And we are looking at the TAM, which is the 300 billion. Our TAM is around 126 billion of grains and oilseed. That's the sector for the fund for grains and oilseed in Africa. And we are focusing on West Africa, initially. Please, you can move to the next slide. So this is where we explain the opportunity gap. So Africa faces 95 billion annually in agricultural exports to China, because China has already made that commitment since 2021, but we still do less of that. And some of the problems that we are addressing is what is forcing farmers not to be able to supply to China or maybe meet that demand in Africa. This you can see, this is our buyers segment that we can see. So we come to our competition side. And we are competing against traditional middlemen, other agricultural platforms. And the reason why we categorize ourselves into this category is most of these agricultural platforms that we know deals largely with aggregators on ground, because sourcing from smallholder farmers is still a pain. So they would likely rely on aggregators, which means the actual farmers are still not being benefiting or not getting the value that they actually need the cycles to continue. So we have that. See our sugar fruits complete farmer, agriculture, and our agent producer.
Time is up. Thank you so much. Please, let's give him a round of applause. You've done very well. It's not easy to build a pitch that can explain yourself and put your numbers in there and even try to convince people why your business is powerful. So thank you so much. I didn't realize that even though we had the 2 minutes for Phil Nova, we didn't have questions for her. So we are also going to allow for 2 minutes questions for CFC Africa while we are voting. So please, on the dashboard on your phones, please vote for CFC Africa. However, I also open the floor for anyone that has any questions for CFC Africa concerning what you've seen so far, if you're curious about anything whatsoever. Questions? Okay, so while we're waiting for questions, we'll be voting. So we have 2 minutes to do that, and we can move on to the next business. Thank you so much, CFC Africa, in particular. The next business is Citrus Store. Citrus Store here. Okay. How many minutes for questions? Is it almost time? So Citrus Store, please get ready as we. Okay, are we all done voting? If we are done voting, can we please lift our hands? I want to see. If you voted for see Africa? Okay, awesome. Okay, so if we are done voting, we'll move to Citrus Store Limited. Please, can we please have your attention? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I would like to start with say a simple question. I was just thinking and I realized that I don't know any African food that is not prepared with onions. I don't know if someone knows one. Maybe you can think of. Okay. I have a bit of a Nigerian background. Yes. I don't think I know, but I would want to know that food. So, citrus store. Yes. I saw a news on GT about onions getting spoiled in Ajin Kotoku market at the Ga West municipality. And I was like, wow, they had trucks of onions, spoiled onions, that they are packing out of the market. At Street Store, we produce an antimicrobial product that is used to preserve these onions, basically. Yes. I'd like you to meet Mr. Zuma. Okay, he is a 34-year-old onion farmer at Teshbe in the Upper East region. We went there to do a survey when we got the idea, and we met him. He complained about spoilage of his produce. He loses about 1/3 of his produce to spoilage from microbes. And then the rest of the produce, he has to sell them off at cheaper prices to avoid more spoilage and more losses. Now that is the problem that he faces. And we noticed that other farmers, and we have a lot of onion farmers at the Upper East region. I'm from the northern region, about UDS. Yes, we noticed that a lot of them had this issue. Now citrus store comes in this, as you can see here, is an antimicrobial spray that you can use to prevent this spoilage. Because the factors that cause onions to spoil, we have heat, we have microbes, we have water too. But one thing about heat and then the water is that when there are no microbes in the environment, the onions will not get spoiled. Yes. Next slide, please. Now, according to the Food and Agriculture Organization 2023, they talked about how 40% of vegetables are lost globally, and the onions is identified as one of the most perishable ones. Now, the solution that I have already stated is an antimicrobial spray to prevent microbes from getting in touch with these onions, and that will reduce the spoilage and increase the shelf life of the onions. So instead of picking up spoiled onions from your lot every week, they pick up a lot of spoiled onions. You can have these onions being stored up to 4 weeks, where you don't have to pick up a lot of spoilage. Next slide. Now, how does this work? It goes in two aspects. So we use waste, lime and orange peels, which we noted as waste. So we are working on a waste to wealth venture here. So we use this waste, we dry them, we grind them, and then we get our chemicals from the waste. And then on the other hand, the same waste, the same lime and orange peels, we dry them, grind them, and we send them to the oil extractor to extract essential oil. Now this essential oil becomes a coating on the onions. So it becomes a coating on the onions to prevent the onions from losing its natural water content, which is very important because you go to the market to see onions shrinking. So this is what we do. The next slide. Now what's the value? The antimicrobial activity, very important to preserve the shelf life of these onions. It's up to 4 weeks, so you don't have to pick out spoilage. And it's organic. We're using lime and orange peels. And it's very convenient and easy to use. The farmer just needs to get, after harvesting all your onions, you wash it with some of the products and water as they usually do. Dry it. And when you dry it, the oil is on these onions to keep the onions fresh. Next slide. Now, among our competitors, we are able to increase the shelf life of the onions. We have our organic advantage and it's affordable and easy to use. Next slide. So we are working with the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Savannah Agricultural Research at Nyampala in the Northern region. We have Gratis Foundation working on our equipment. The World Food Program was also giving us a grant of $10,000, which they are yet to pay back. We are working on that. We have the food and the vegetables organization, the northern region that we are working with. Next slide. So the total addressable market of onions is valued at $42.1 billion, of which the African market is $7.9 billion and 1.8%.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please let's have Thank you. It's not easy to have a business. It's not easy to build something this beautiful. Please, how you guys, those at the back, please hold your products for them to have a look at it. Can you see? This is something someone has done. So we have 2 minutes to vote. 2 minutes to vote. Please use your voting portal. And please vote for Citrus Store Limited. If you have questions for Citrus Store, please feel free to ask.
So I didn't see the target customers selling to farmers or we are selling to like market women. So who is doing the control?
Yes, so our target customers are farmers who farm the onions at large scale, and then market who also sell at large scale. Yes, because you notice that onions actually spoil more when you have them, a lot of them at once. Yes.
I also have a question for you. So with your products, does it only target, is it just for onions or there are other products that can effectively combat the microbes? Or is niche just onions?
Okay, so actually the company is working preventing spoilage with vegetables, but we started with onions. Yes, so the active ingredients in this particular project is targeted at specific microbes that affect onions. So our next project is on pepper, which we are yet, so I don't want to say anything much about it. We are just in the pipeline. But this particular one is for onions.
Any more questions? You have
Yeah, I have a question. So, you know, sometimes when we hear preservatives, it carries a very negative connotation. So, I wanted to ask, can you guarantee that, you know, there are no side effects when it comes to using these products on, you know, organic food like onions? Yeah, that's my question.
Okay, so yes, that is a very important aspect. That I met someone just outside, and he was asking why is our product not in the market? You have to sell and all of that. And I was making him understand that the kind of product that we have, we have to guarantee the safety and all of that. So we are in the process of that. We've done our in-lab tests and all of that. And we have some customers who have also tried, but we are in the process of FDA to give us the full guarantee and assurance.
Thank you very much. We've come to the, okay, let me get one last question.
Okay, so when it comes to the spoilage, okay, does it guarantee 100% no spoilage, or there's a fraction that okay, if you should use it? And how is it used? Is it that you immerse the whole thing in a solution, or you spray it? How is it?
Okay, so with the first question, that is also what we are working on with the FDA. We have to find the percentage. But for the farmers that have used it, they are saying they met very low spoilage as compared to what they should have. And then the second question.
How do you use it?
Yes, how do you use it? Okay, so we have, if you look here, you can see kind of two different, yes. So the one in this is more concentrated. It's mostly for the farmers that have the onions in a large quantity. So most of the farmers we met, we just told them that you have to get the tip of this, 4 of it, yes, into a basin. There's a basin that they use the metal in, yes. And then you add water to half of it. Very easy, they can easily understand. Normally, after getting the onions from the farm, they wash it before the store, normally. So now you add the products and then wash before you store. So that leaves the essential oil extract on the onions and gives it that water retaining capacity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, let's give her a round of applause. I think she's done very well. So, this is citrus salt. So please catch your votes for citrus salt. So up next we have Reaper Foods. Reaper Foods, please let's give them a round of applause. Reaper Foods,
Hello. Hi, my name is James. Well, there are more people here than I thought, because I was sitting back there. I feel underdressed being here, but anyway, I am the owner and representative of Reaper Foods. Reaper Foods is basically a meat processing company. We've been in business since 2027. The whole idea was to fix the problem that we have here in Ghana with our meat and processed meat market. Currently, according to Trade Economics, with our country, which is a UN subsidiary, in fact, Ghana imported, that was for the year 2023 alone, Ghana imported about $200 million worth of processed meat into the country. That's a big problem. And we know how all that, the effects of that in terms of our economy and all that. But we do have a problem with production, poor cold chain, inconsistency with quality. Before we got into this, I actually took about 5-6 months to go around many of the top 5-star hotels here to talk to the production and the purchasing managers. And we realized that they were importing a lot of that stuff to this country. The reason was consistency. Today is good, tomorrow is not good. Today they bring it, tomorrow they don't have it. So then we fixed that problem to make sure when it's asked, we have it. We're also trying to make sure, we focus on basically consistency, as I spoke about, different kind of products for the market as is being asked about, reliable supply cold chain, which was a problem when we were doing our research. The whole idea was to move since 2017, we've been processing and selling wholesale primarily to all these hotels that I mentioned, or a few of them as I mentioned. The whole idea is to move away from that and expand the market because we see the demand is there. Focus on highly automated, semi-automated processing facility to tackle the mass. We all walk around, we see this, and all these sausages around. With the high-tech processing facility, we can actually help and reduce the importation of that. Then move also into the retail sector, which is a plan that we're actually working on for that. So, along the lines, we don't want to forget our customers. The whole point is to make it convenient for them to work with us and give them what they want. So we have a store to create one of the best apps that will make it convenient for customers to purchase the stuff whenever they need to do that. Yep. We will move to the next one. Okay. So this is one number that actually stood out for me. This is basically for 2024 sausage segment. That was just for sausage. Sausage segment was about $665 million. Importation that came with. The jump was incredible. We see a huge market there. Part of the market that we see in Ghana and West Africa is about $1.2 billion annually with the market opportunity that we have. Some of the products that we have are, and these are a few of the products. Our sausage line alone is about over 26 of them. These are a few of the products that we thought we'll put out there for you guys to see. All right, so the whole idea for the business model is from B2C. We've been doing B2B for a while, but we want to jump into the B2C market as well, which we actually started in July and it's been working incredibly well. And you can see from the numbers when we get to that. All right, so our revenue growth for the month of 2022, we've been consistently growing. It was about 1.2 million, 1.7 million, and 2024, 2.1. We look to beat that this year, 2025, at 30%, average 30% margins. We've been reinvesting and we've been growing. That's a big problem. And my headache is being able to wake up and meet demand. That is the problem that we have, but we can try to work on that. Yep. You just put it in this one. Okay. So a few of our competitors that are there, we have some of the retail stores, but those are considered like for the retail stores. But when it comes to pure meat processing, as we are wholly focused on, there's really nothing out there for us. This is where I would actually say we don't have a competition really yet, but there will be. We know it will happen, but we try to meet all these companies so that we maintain the lead and that. All right. Why are we filming wins? The pricing being produced, the products that we produce, the quality that we have. Which you would actually have the opportunity to try, you realize that we are producing foreign level products here at a much cheaper price. And we've had good feedback from customers and the hotels whenever we've given them the pricing and they've tasted the products too. So, all right. Okay, so what we at monthly average revenue right now is sitting around 200,000 plus on average, and yeah, 200,000. So for our ask, when we will get there, we anticipate that the projection is up. Great. See what I was
Thank you very much. Let's give it a round of applause. Very well. This is Reva Foods. Please, if you have questions for them, please ask your question. Okay, we have already 2 questions.
Yeah.
All right.
So my question is about similar to beef production, livestock, do you own your own source for someone?
Yeah, good question. Yes and no, and I say yes or no because we do have a farm. We started this whole thing, I should actually say, we started with a 5-acre land, which and pigs. So we do have farms that we rear our animals on there. And then there's a problem. You can never meet demand. I clear my animals, I bring them back, we clear them. So we do have people who supply to us. Our farm alone can never meet the demand that's out there. So we do have suppliers who supply us alongside our farms.
Thank you very much. As we know, majority of, like, not the majority, but from the community I'm coming from the Muslim community, meat is the heartbeat of our cuisine and everything, especially during the Islam fest. Other than you killing your own meat, you also like to put in a little bit of fancy. So whereby you have to go in for corned beef and other stuff. So here comes the case of halal certification. Have you gotten it? Whereby you can also get that challenge also on board before others will go across you on that front?
Thank you for the question. In fact, the Muslim community dear to my heart. My wife is from the north, so it's something that is very important to us. Currently, we only have DR approved, our facilities only have DR approved, but that is something that we need to work on. It's very important. But that's also a little problem. This is where you realize that I've done my homework. It's hard to find someone to get you certified a lot, at least from the research and how. I had to drive to one restaurant in Lapointe to talk to a gentleman there to see if he could help me. So we've looked into that. It's just not an easy process. And when it comes to the lineup of things that we're looking to do, it's certainly up there. We'll tackle that when we get there.
Thank you very much. Please give them a round of applause. Please open your voting portals and vote for Reaper Foods. Open your voting portals and vote for Reaper Foods. Thank you so much. Okay, so up next we have Farm Gates here. Farm Gates. Let's give him a round of applause. Please let's clap for him. Oh, people, this is please let's clap for him. Thank you.
How many of us here grew up in a farming community? Can you show by? Okay, 1 person, 2 people. Right. Then this is our story. Many startups begin with great ideas. Ours began with a moment that never left me. Growing up as a child, I remember seeing my mother rise up early before dawn every day to harvest her crops. As children, we would sometimes follow her barefooted in the mud. Whenever my mother goes to the market and returns, she always complains bitterly. Sometimes I could even hear her weeping in the night. Emmanuel,
You can imagine my shock, my anger when I got to Accra and discovered how expensive yet unfresh food was. Why should all the proceeds of the value chain go to one middleman while the farmer whose blood and toil and sweat and even life is in the soil? Sorry. That's why I started farming. I asked you, is this fair? Next slide. So Farmgate. So we want to ensure that 70% of the smallholder farmers, like my mother, who produce 80% of our food, move from poverty into gaining what they deserve. We also want to ensure that the $1.9 billion lost annually due to post-harvest loss, because a middleman is standing at the gate, goes into the pockets of the farmers. We need to make sure that farmers stop giving up their land for say 51% of them. And we also want to ensure that consumers get fresh produce at value for their money. Our solution is simple. We have created an open access and easy to use web platform where farmers can list their produce and consumers can make purchases. We also encourage consumers to tip farmers when they are happy with the service. We've also added a value addition service where we add value to tomato. We've done a tomato juice product. When you work with us, you get 25% increase in your income as a farmer. We are not just transforming agriculture, we are ensuring socio-economic justice for farmers. Next. Our business model is simple. Starting at 20 cedis a week in cash or income, farmers can list their produce on our app and gain the income they deserve. Next slide. There are 6 to 7 million smallholder farmers in Ghana. If we are targeting just half of them, about 3 million of them in 3 years, multiply 3 million times 20 cities every month. Next slide. Our growth strategy that in the next 5 years we hit 3 million farmers. Next slide. Our competitive landscape, we are the only ones focusing on the farmer first as a pricing model. Why? Because those who grow our food deserve to grow their income. Those who feed us deserve to be fed. So we focus first on the farmer, and then we also do direct to customer, giving them value for their money. We also have a very consumer-friendly app in. Next slide. Our financial projections that in the next 5 years will make 24% profit. Next slide. Our traction. So many startups want to talk about success. So please play the first video. So here we supplied Ahujo farms with cassava. We actually failed. We actually failed because we bought the produce from the farmer and sold it to the customer. But we discovered we made a huge loss of over 50%, and the farmer also even. And that's what informed a change in our model to rather do direct to customer. So this is our app, our MVP app is a video. So it's very simple for any farmer to demo or to get live. In 3 simple steps, you can upload your produce. So our MVP is in the pilot test. And also, we already have 50 farmers on our waiting list. We did an interview at GH1 TV. A lot of farmers began calling. We have a whole list. And we also have invested 50,000 so far in our business. Next slide. Next slide, please. Our impact. So 3 million farmers increase in income in the next 5 years, and 60% of them being women. Next slide. We have a very dynamic team, CEO, CTO, the small admin. Next slide. When you deal with us, you are not just revolutionizing agriculture. You are doing the right thing. Let's do the right thing together. And I would like us to applaud the farmers who feed us every day before I leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, families. I was so moved because he was really passionate about how he was describing. But let's give him a round of applause again. He's done very well. So we have 2 minutes to vote, and you also have 2 minutes to ask questions. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Can we kindly pass the microphone to him?
Creating a platform for the farmers to connect to their customers is very good. I want to ask, the means of transportation, how do you tackle that one? Because that will also either give a rise in the price or maintain the price for we the customers. Because knowing that the farmer may have a chunk of yam or cassava in the village somewhere in the north, bring it to Accra for me because I realize that it is much cheaper on the app. Am I supposed to pay for the logistics, or it is already taken for within that system?
Thank you for that question. So, in our platform, there are two options. There are options where the customer can opt in for a direct delivery. That one, the cost goes to the customer and not the farmer. And there's an option where the customer can choose to actually go to our various farmer points. We have farmer communities to go for the IT. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is a nice presentation. And looking at the model, it seems like we are focusing on direct to consumer, obviously. So one of the challenges that we've seen is if you are trying to sell to consumers based on convenience, here in Ghana, it really will not that way, because most of them during the weekends, what they do is to go to market. So price is what matters. So looking at you, talking about the logistics aspect where the customer has to also bear the cost, but in fact taking the cost to deliver to the customer by the produce from the farmer, and also you get it from the farmer depending, because if you are sourcing from farming communities and not within that quantity, transportation is also an issue, because we piloted this before, and one thing we realized that unless we have food truck, you will share the loss side of all this. So I think consider that community economics and seeing how it can compete with the market. And again, the middlemen within this value chain are very good. When I say they are close knit within the rural communities, they are also close to the market queens. So the competition side, they can put their resources together. That's what we experience there. And we try to kick it out in terms of joining forces with them to share the same transport, getting into the market to also face a lot of challenges because of the imbalance and all that stuff. So you want to be maybe direct to consumer, but how you're going to pick the market is something that I think you figure it out. So I don't know if it's a question or a contribution, but if you're able to figure that out, I think
Thank you very much for both. I think convenience indeed comes at a price. That's why really our value proposition is not in pricing. Our value proposition is in social economic justice for farmers. And we use that to resonate with people. Our customers are people who actually understand their agric value chain and want to do something about it. And already we have about 100 customers even on our waiting list.
Yeah, so it's a follow-up question because we said social justice, but are you a social entrepreneur or you are for profit?
We are for profit.
Okay.
And our model is profitable. We've done it.
For profitability, I think you're too early, so I don't talk about that.
Thank you.
I'd like to add one more question. We know some of our small-scale farmers are our mothers and aunties and uncles in the village. Every smartphone operation is much more like operating a high-powered computer. How do they get to the website to just log in?
That's a wonderful question. So we thought about this challenge brought us two solutions. The first thing is that we are not just trying to make farmers get money, but we want you to get into agriculture. So what in all the farming communities we deal with, we choose youth agri-logistics agents. So these agents are responsible for uploading the produce for a farmer who is illiterate. And without student, the person uploads it, and number two, the person also checks for quality. Because there is a verification on some quality aspects that have to be taken. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give him a round of applause. That very well. Beautiful presentation slides. And please do not forget to vote. Do not forget to vote, please. Okay, so we have Fly Cycle. Fly Cycle. Please give him a round of applause.
Hello everybody. Let's take a time capsule back to 2024. There was a young guy who competed at the University of Ghana, did his NSS, and after doing his NSS, did not get any job to do. So he then used part of his savings to start catfish farming. But there were two major problems. He couldn't scale up and also maximize profits. That's where Fly Cycle comes in. Fly Cycle is a black soldier fly startup that uses waste from markets, factories like blue skies, the pineapple and mango waste we get from them, and also canteens to feed the larvae of the black soldier fly, which then it converts the energy derived from eating the waste we give to them, to body mass, protein, and also fats and amino acids. So what the BSF does is that it's a very great alternative to soybeans meal and also fish meal, which is used as in formulating feed for poultry, feed and also poultry feed, pig feed and also catfish feed. So what we did is that we experimented on this farm, Mr. Gabriel, I called him Mr. Gabriel, and there were very tremendous results we got from his farm. We, on a normal, his catfish weigh 8 grams per month. By using our ESF lab, we were able to get 100 grams per month, and that was a very impressive result for him. Because catfish are sold in kilograms. Yeah, so in doing this, so in producing the black soldier fly lab, we get also another end result, which is called the frass, which is feeding the black soldier fly or growing the black soldier fly, we get an end result called the frass, which is an organic fertilizer used to grow vegetables and also crops. Yeah, so with these fertilizers, we used to grow crops like lettuces, carrots, and cucumber organically. So with black soldier fly farming, there's nothing like you are producing waste. We then turn the waste into highly valuable products like the BSF lab and also the frass. Yes. So this is set up in the hearts of the farm, on farms. Yes. So I'm actually one of the students in the School of Agric. Yes. And this is my able team. This is me. This is Farida. This is Perpetua. This is Paul. This is Samuel. This is Bright. Yeah. So this is a small startup. We actually started on the 4th of April this year, 2025. So yeah, that's Fly Cycle. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Fly Cycle. Please vote for Fly Cycle. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any questions for Fly Cycle? Okay, I have a question for you. Okay, so for Fly Cycle, is this something that you're looking to scale? Because from what I'm hearing, for me, I feel like this is quite interesting personally, because we all know that feed for farmers is a huge problem, and it goes a long way to actually affect the pricing of their product. What is your plan in terms of scaling? Because is it something that which industries you think would value something like this?
Thank you. So we have three main animal industries in Ghana, which is the fish industry, poultry industry, and also the pig industry. But for our prototype fish, we actually targeted the fish industry, which is, according to data, fish is the most consumed protein in Ghana. So that's what we actually targeted. But we saw huge potential in the poultry industry, because we have a region dedicated to poultry farming, which is the Ono region. So we want to partner with these farmers. I'm actually greedy, like we're not greedy. So we want to partner with these farmers, set up the black soldier fly units for them, give them trained personnel, and also give them the starter kits for them to start production. We then buy surpluses from them, sell to other farmers. We also have a production site. We also sell to other farmers, because this is actually a billion-dollar industry in America. And it is now emerging in Ghana here, so we're trying to make it quite popular here. So that's yes.
Someone also ran a similar project you ran a similar project at the University of Ghana, the farm around the Accra farm. But it was in poultry, and the results were very good. The meat quality, the flavor, the color of the meat, and even the size, it was very good. So yeah, I think it's something that's really catching on these days.
Okay, I also have a question for you. For something like this, if say someone wants to purchase for their poultry farm, in which format is it? Like, because I'm thinking you are breeding flies, and naturally it's a bit, I wouldn't want to enter a facility, but how would you package something like this?
Thank you. So, quick answer to your question. The black soldier fly, the land of the black soldier fly is actually, I forgot to add this, 40 to 45% rich in protein. And it's one of the safest to eat, even humans can consume. Done very well, yes. They do not contain any disease, they do not spread in the form of, they are not vectors of any diseases, yes. And with this, it comes in the fresh and also the dried form, or powder form. So the fresh is what the fish farmers like a lot, because you just feed it to the fishes. But the poultry farmers also like the dried one, because it's more, it's more portable, more usable. And because of their production, you have to clean the troughs and all of those things, so it's more safer to use. Yeah, so it comes in two main forms: the fresh, which is the light lambi, and also the dried lambi. Thank you.
Wait, if I get you correctly, is it the lambi you are selling on the fly itself?
No, so in my presentation, I actually said we leverage on the lambi of the black soldier fly. So the cycle of the black soldier fly is that we have the adult which lays eggs, then transforms into a larvae, the larvae into a pupa, the cycle repeats. Yeah, so we leverage on the larvae, which is rich in protein, 40 to 45%, and we feed to these animals, which is able to cut down cost of production, which is because cost of feeding these animals takes about 60 to 70% of the whole total cost of production. So once we're able to use this, it's able to bring it down so that these proteins will be very cheaper and very available for everyone to use by and consume.
Thank you. Any more questions?
One more direct. Very direct question. Very direct question. So I'm thinking, well, when I hear flies or I hear insects, usually I think of invasive. So I was thinking, like, are they an invasive species? Like, what is control like for them? Because I'm sure you wouldn't want overproduction of larvae. I don't know.
So the black soldier fly is actually native to West Africa, and it's very predominant in Ghana in our forested belts. Yeah, so they are not invasive. They are very docile. You rarely find these animals around, and they are very fun to play around with. They do not sting, they do not bite, they don't do anything. They do not cause any disease like their counterpart, which is the housefly. They're very safe to deal with. It's kind for the facility or the setup we run our production can be quite cement because of the waste we indulge in. But other than that, they are safe to even humans can consume their larvae. Yeah.
Okay, one more follow-up question. Just a minute. Are they carriers of any disease? Are they probable carriers?
No, please.
I have actually one question. How long does it take to reach that cycle?
So the overall cycle of black soldier fly larvae production is a month. But that is when all things are equal. But when there are certain irregularities, it can take like 31 to 42 days. Because for the first initial week, the fly lays the eggs, and the other week, which is 7 to 14 days, it actually transforms into the larvae. And the larvae we start from the instance, so we have to target the sit inside, which is rich in protein. You don't just target any larvae because once they are growing, their protein content should increases. But once they hit a particular stage, it then decreases again, which is the pupa stage. So we then target the pupa, which is at the sit and stuff, and we harvest them, sell it dry or live. Thank you.
Thank you. Please let's clap for 5 cycles. Very well. Thank you so much. So please vote for 5 cycles. The next business that we have is Delimush Limited. Delimush Limited. Delimush Limited. Okay, they are not here. We have Remsense. Remsense, please. Your Remsense? Yeah. Yes, please give me a round of applause.
Hello. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon. Alright, so we are Remsense, right? And all the products that came here, most of them are purely agri, but then we are more of an agri-tech company, so we do a whole lot of tech stuff here. So what do we do? Remsense is a company that helps farmers increase their yield, right? And then currently our focus is on the maize farmers. So what we do is, first of all, we target not only small-scale farmers, but then large-scale farmers. So for large-scale farmers, how we go about it, we actually use satellite data to perform analysis on their farms, and then we get to know how their crops are performing, whether they need more fertilizers or they have to actually plant it like that. And then for small-scale farmers, we go directly to their farms, and we have a green sensor device there that used to check the health of the farm to actually determine whether the farm needs more fertilizers or not. So our main focus is to help farmers increase yield on the same farm. So you don't have to have a large farm, but then with your small farm, you can actually increase the yield there and then you can actually produce more. That's our focus, right? So that's what we do. And how did this idea came about? It's something that we saw that they were actually doing in the European countries. It's very common there, but then back here, we just do our farming without any data. So our team sat down and decided that we can replicate the same thing. Already our farmers struggle a lot. They don't really have much, but then they waste so much money on their fertilizers. They apply fertilizers to farmlands that already has enough nutrients for their soil. Sometimes the rate at which they are applying the fertilizers, the crops are not really absorbing it much, so making it literally not useful to them. So that's where we come in, and then we bring in our tech, and then we help solve these problems for them. So our main focus right now is on maize farmers, but then it's not only maize farmers that we are going to tackle. We move along as we widen our scope to tackle and then help make sure that most of our farmers produce more on the same piece of land. That's our goal. On the same piece of land, we can get to produce very more. So I actually brought a handheld sensor that we use to go to the small scale farmers, so you guys can actually get to see it here. Yeah. So it looks like a gun, but then it's not a gun. It's a handheld crop sensor, a green sticker crop sensor. It's actually a project that's been done in one of the universities outside. So we have these devices, so you can point it to the crop, and then as soon as you point it to the crop, it can give NDVI. So there's something called NDVI, normalized difference vegetative index. If you are into agri tech stuff, you get to know NDVI. It helps to check how healthy the crop is, right? So that's it. So based on this, you can actually do our check-ins, and then you can apply fertilizer. But then, as I said, on a small scale farm, this really be scalable because, sorry, on a large scale farm, this really wouldn't be scalable because you can't be moving around and checking it one by one. So that's why we use Copernicus. So Copernicus is a satellite data that we get from the European Union, and then we analyze those satellite data, and then we actually get to help the large scale farmers. For the small scale farmers, we go there with this one, since it's very easy for us to do for the small scale farmers. So that's our goal. Our goal is actually to help small scale farmers get more yield on their farm, large scale farmers to also get more yield. They're not wasting fertilizers that much on their land. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Remsen. Please let's give another round of applause. You've done very well. So we have vote for Remsen. Please go to your voting portal and vote for Remsen. If you have questions, if anyone has questions for Remsen. Okay.
I wanted to find out how you make money from this.
Okay, so you want to find out our business model. Yeah. Our business model is very, very interesting. Let me tell you how it comes. So first of all, we don't charge the farmers anything, right? What we do is we actually partner with fertilizer producers, and then we tell them that we can actually help you get more farmers because we've been talking to farmers and we realize they are more interested in our solutions to them, right? So we get a cut from the fertilizer producers, and then we bring those. So instead of the farmers going to any other fertilizer producer to buy fertilizers, we actually let them buy from us, and then they apply it on their farm. I hope that's good. So we get it from the fertilizer producer.
So does it mean that the testing that you conduct helps?
Come again?
The testing that you conduct on the soil. The test.
Yeah. So yes.
I think with your tool, the device, you said it wouldn't work on a large scale farm in terms of scalability. So I was thinking, You said you use Copernicus, satellite imagery, and I'm sure you analyze those images.
Yes.
Okay, so I was thinking, what is the time frame like from when you get that data, analyze, and get back to the farmer that okay, this is what's wrong with your crop, or this is what your crop looks like. What is the time frame? What does it look like?
Alright, so this is how the Copernicus satellite data works, right? It takes imagery of the Earth every 6 days. So every 6 days, we can actually get data on your farm to you without even coming to your farm. We can know how your farm is doing from the comfort of our house, do the analysis, and then get you the data without coming to your farm.
Well, I won't call it a question, but I would say maybe also a contribution. Because I see a lot of risk when it comes to not charging the farmers for the testing because we get to look at for selling them fertilizers. But after the testing, they choose not to buy through the partnership that we have. Then that will also go against because they can get the time of providing and then decide to buy from anywhere they want to not buy from. So then it takes all the council.
Okay, so then with that one, so I can tell you, if only you have plans of farming only one season for your life, then you can do that 2 years. But then if you plan on farming consistently, I think you'll be needing our help really with that.
You must do the testing every year.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's give another round of applause. Okay, if you haven't voted, please vote for Remsense. Up next, we have that's the final business, Harvest Shield. Harvest Shield around. Harvest Shield. Going once, going twice. And okay, good. So this brings us to the end of our pitches. Please give everyone a round of applause. You've done very well. I think the pitches are excellent, well done. I really appreciate the questions and the feedback because I think that the founders can take back what people are saying and implement this feedback to improve their business. Okay, the whole point of pitch deck is to allow people visibility of the businesses, also allow people who might be interested in partnering with them, and also allow that even though the money is not as much, it's good because then we are not really focusing much on how much you are getting, but more about how to grow the business and scale. Okay, so we're going to take some time. We have some food outside. We have some sausages grilling. That is actually Reaper food outside, and then some vendors. We're going to take 5 minutes to just look at the vote compilation, and then we'll show it on the screen. So we're just going to take 5 minutes to stretch our legs, and then we come back to announce the winners. Thank you very much.
While you are going on break, if you want to get your certificate and also the resource materials, you can. So we are looking at funding. These are some of the things that you can show to actually get funds, to show that you've been part of such a workshop where you learned about climate smart and reporting and all that. So it's just 100 cedis to get the resource materials and the certificate. So have fun. Remember the certificate is waiting for you. Thank you.
Okay, while we are holding out, when you're ready for the certificate, you can come and see Dennis, and we will make that available for you.
Family members of names.
In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect, empowering bold ideas, building Africa's future. Register at www.agriprohub.com/events. See you there. In every community, there are young people with powerful ideas, but limited opportunities. They want to create jobs, build solutions, and change the future of agriculture. That's why Pitch Perfect Empowering Green Ventures was created, a platform that transforms raw ideas into real businesses. Through training, mentorship, exhibitions, and pitching opportunities, Pitch Perfect unlocks growth that leads to real sustainable jobs. When businesses grow, they hire. When they hire, communities rise. Pitch Perfect helps young founders build ventures that employ others, reduce waste, and strengthen Ghana's agribusiness economy. On 6 December 2025 at the Enterprise Village in Jolu, come and witness the next wave of job creators. Pitch Perfect.